What is going on, ladies, gentlemen, anyone who's watching? Welcome back to another morning episode of the Rise and Rush podcast. Of course, this is a podcast. This is a live show where you get to wake up with us on your Sunday morning. You're waiting till that 1 o'clock hour, but you need something to pass by the hours. You need something to kill time. Well, guess what? You're here. We're here, and we're going to give you 3 game previews, one each for the week. We got picks that we did not do this week because, of course, we didn't have a Boys in Big Apple episode, so that's fun. Probably be at the end, though. John's pointing out the Book of Wonder. Then we got Fantasy Stardom Situm. And then we also, at the end, next to picks, we got some betting from Sir Luca and Sir John. So without further ado, both of our teams do play today. They play in the 4 o'clock hour. Obviously, I'm a little optimistic about mine. I don't know how these guys are optimistic or not, but I'll leave that for a separate entity. Angry John, how are you feeling on this Sunday morning?
Nice day out so far. As you mentioned, we got the Book of Wonder here. We're gonna make our game picks later for week 2. Again, just an effort. Just for the FYI, I'm in the lead right now. Alex is second, and Luca is in third. Very close. Anybody's game still. Long season ahead of us. But yeah, I got my Fantasy Stardom Situm. I got all the betting advice for today. Didn't really do so hot last week, but that's okay. It was week 1. Now I got some more information that I could use. And so be it. So, again, like Alex said, the Giants play the Cardinals today at 4. Jets Cowboys at 4:25. But there's also other games that we are going to preview for you guys. So also, guys, make sure when you watch this, watch it to the full end because that's how it gets recommended to others and other, people in their search histories and all their likes and recommendations. So help us out. Like, comment, subscribe, ask us any questions. Go nuts in the comments and chat section. But I'll pass it over to my boy Luca on this fine Sunday morning.
I will say real quickly as well, though. So shouts to Jacob. Shouts to Alex Rinaldi. So we got another Alex here, but Alex Rinaldi says, "What's up, guys? Go Giants!" Yeah, let's go Giants, baby. I mean, got it all back there and whatnot. Hopefully, they do take the W today. But as we kind of said last week, if you got fantasy questions, you got betting questions, we'll take them. We'll answer them to the best of our ability and all that sort of stuff. So recommend this to your friends. Share out, shout out, do all the good stuff. Luca. The one with the Zach Wilson jersey on.
I have a name,
What? So okay, fine. Luca.
Boy.
Thank you. Somebody knows how to pronounce my name. What's up, y'all? Have a quick surprise that some might not like. Whatever. Writing the hold on, let me pull it out. Zach Wilson T-shirt today. John is putting hand to face, palm to face, because Zach Wilson is the starting quarterback.
Also, you're a clown.
No. As little as confidence I have in the kid, it is true. We kind of have to rally behind him, whether you like it or not, even though you have no confidence.
It's gonna be a disaster. Go on.
We'll see, but ready for some betting to do my own props. I'll reveal. I don't know if I'll actually reveal right now. I did a parlay last week, and I was 1 yard away from winning $100. Justin Fields, I am never betting on you again, or the Bears. You suck.
Okay. All right. And then last night, what was it? Even though I will credit you. You did get the victory with Washington State and Michigan State. No, it was Washington and Michigan State. I'm sorry. What was the one you lost? Syracuse and Purdue. So
I love John, how he thinks he's such a genius.
I literally said I credited him. What do you want? Like you said,
no. Like every time,
it's 9:30 in the morning. There's too much fighting already.
Every time I lose a bet, he's like, "Oh,
because you're a degenerate." That's why.
I had 2 bets yesterday. That's it. 2, nothing more, nothing less. And when John, we said this, you win some, you lose some, and then he's just sitting there, you want to try betting out.
Did you bet any? Did you officially put anything on the money on the underdog today?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not.
All right. Armand is in the chat. He says, "What's up? I love the fighting. Good morning."
He's not here for the football. He's here for the violence.
Alex says, "This is my last game I'm going to watch because I'm going to be in Italy for 4 weeks."
Ooh.
Well,
Good for you,
enjoy
my
your
guy.
trip. Enjoy your trip. Number two, I'm not a sour Giant fan, but I say you kind of leaving at the right time because the Giants do have a tough half of the schedule for the next 4 weeks. So, and then would they face whoever they do afterwards? But well, that's obviously that weeks down the line. But appreciate everybody in the chat. Hit the like button, subscribe to all the good stuff. So, I'm going to allow Sir Angry John in just a second here as I get the formats set up to go into his week 1 game. John, if you actually want to start previewing it.
Well, yes, we're going to start. I got the first game to preview, and it may not be the sexiest of matchups, but, battle of top 5 top 5 picks in this year's draft. Someone's going to get their first win today between the number 2 pick, CJ Stroud, and the number 4 pick, Anthony Richardson. Just some game notes before we start diving in more. On the injury report, this is according to NFL, so I do not know if any of this has been updated as of 9:36 a.m. Some guys are questionable for the Colts. Their tight end, Kyle Granson, questionable. Their starting guard, Quentin Nelson, is listed as questionable with a toe injury. And Andrew Ogletree, their tight end, questionable with a concussion. So there is that. And then, as on the Texans side, Neville Hewitt, linebacker, former Jet actually, was limited with an illness. He was questionable. Jalen Petrie, the safety, is ruled out with a chest injury, injured in last week's game. CJ Stroud should be good to go, but he is listed as questionable with the right shoulder issue. Laramie Tunsil, their starting tackle, all-pro, is listed as questionable with a knee injury. And Jimmy Ward, the veteran safety, listed as out with a hip injury, also suffered in last week's game. But nevertheless, we do have to get to previewing here. And I'll start, we'll start on the Colts, and let's see what all they're about. Now, again, they lost week 1 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And some of the big thing is, obviously the major news for them still is the Jonathan Taylor saga. Obviously, he's not able to come off the PUP list since week 5. We'll get into a little bit more him later.
Evan Hull just got placed on IR.
What happened?
Evan Hull just got placed on IR. The rookie from Northwestern.
Oh, wow. So you can add him to the injury report as well. But as we're saying, you look at this Colts roster, right? And, they have to, now it's time to build around Anthony Richardson because they want to maximize this kid's potential, obviously. And you look what he has around him, the running, he is a runner himself. So, his backs are now Deion Jackson and Zach Moss, which is like, I feel like Anthony Richards probably the most explosive player. He's got, Michael Pittman out there as a wideout. I feel, in my opinion, and maybe this will be something they can target in the offseason, or as the season progresses, they do need another a wideout on this team because Michael Pittman is, slowly becoming a stud wideout. And if you remember, they were reportedly in the mix of when the Jonathan Taylor trade rumors were coming about. Remember, they asked for Jalen Waddle. They asked for Christian Watson. So they clearly do want a number 1 wideout or to go along with Michael Pittman to form a duo that Anthony Richardson can throw to. And not only that, you look at them on the defensive side, they got a really strong front 7. Obviously, DeForest Buckner, Kawhi Pay is a young guy that they like. They could use maybe another guy on the edge, maybe a team with a lot of depth that doesn't really need. They could really use another guy there that'll even help them in their secondary, which we'll get into in a sec. And you look at the Houston Texans, obviously they're trying to build around a Mr. CJ Stroud, his second game as well. And it's a little uncertainty just because of this offensive line. and the revolving door of issues that they're having right now. Obviously, some injuries to go with that, but you look at them with their guys. Obviously, Tunsil is questionable for today. Titus Howard, a promising tackle in this league. We said it weeks before. Guy that's been on IR. Kenyon Green's another guy that's on IR. So right now, it's probably going to be Tunsil most likely if he's starting, and George Fant at the tackle position. So they need to clear that up for the better. And you look at their, their offensive line in week 1 was dreadful. And I know they played Baltimore, but too many times, the edge rushes were getting to the quarterback. And you just look and see that they need to do a better job of protecting him to give Stroud more time because, Stroud's not the best decision maker yet, and most rookies aren't. So it's going to be real interesting to see how they handle this Colts front seven. And just of note, some of the top week 1 performers and some stats here going into this game. Anthony Richardson last week, 24 of 37, 223 yards with a touchdown and a pick. He also had 10 carries for 40 yards and a touchdown as a runner. Michael Pittman, the leading receiver, 8 receptions, 97 yards and a touchdown. And we mentioned DeForest Buckner, 7 tackles, a sack, a fumble recovery, and a touchdown last week. And you look at some of the numbers for Texans, CJ Stroud, 28 of 44, 242 yards, his debut, no picks, no touchdowns. He did lose a fumble, though, so he did have 1 turnover. He also had 20 yards on the ground. Nico Collins, a skilled receiver, 6 receptions for 80 yards. But the Texans, they do got a good pass rush themselves. Jonathan Greenard, 5 tackles, 2 for a loss, and a sack. And we'll just go over some of the team stats here. Colts, they got, in terms of offense, ranked 11th in passing, 29th in rushing, and 15th in scoring. In terms of their defense, 26th in passing, 20th in rushing, and 28th in scoring. And you look at the Texans, 16th in passing, 26th rushing, 29th in points, 11th in passing, and 22nd in rushing defense. 24th in passing defense as well. If you guys want to add anything before I go into the specific matchups.
Okay. So I do want to get to some comments in the chat. What's up to Greg in the chat? Armin says, I had 10 bonus bet from FanDuel, so I used it this morning. Who should I DM on the show on screen time? It's an anytime touchdown. Well, I guess you could probably DM me or Luca or John or one of us. The bet was going to expire today, so I had to use it just for shits and giggles. So, I mean, you use that. That's what is it? $10 free bonus bet? I mean, you got to use it. So, yeah, I mean, this game is going to be really interesting. You got 2 young teams, 2 new head coaches once again. I do think Stroud is the more ready NFL quarterback, though there was some times last week. I mean, obviously I had red zone on, but there was really what you saw with Anthony Richardson in college. I mean, the way he was zipping the ball was pretty good. You did have some boneheaded decisions on certain throws, but overall not bad. I mean, I'm going to spoil myself for predictions here, and I'm going to say he's going to be the leading rusher. Because I feel like his presence in the pocket, and then him coming out of the pocket, I think it's going to be really, I think it's going to be one of the most explosive things you'll see out of the Colts offense. I do find it interesting, once again, yes, as John mentioned, there is some offensive line issues for the Texans. Jarrett Patterson, who is a Notre Dame alumni, he is actually the starting center with Josh Jones at left guard. So, I mean, that's not the most ideal offensive line. I think Will Anderson got his first sack last week, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, he did.
Okay, so there's that. And yeah, you just have a lot of rookies compiled upon these 2 teams. Their secondary, if you look at the Colts roster, you're not really familiar with them. Kenny Moore has been the nickel corner for years, but Dallas Flowers and Darrell Baker, I know Baker's definitely a rookie. But yeah, I mean, having Shaq Leonard back is also big to try to stop that running game a little bit for the Houston Texans, which I think they'll have to use a little bit more. They'll have to use a little bit more. Because CJ Stroud, I know they were in a tough situation last week. It was a kind of a close game, then they got away from them. I would like them to use a little bit more of the run. They didn't have too much success, though. I will say Dameon Pierce had 11 carries for 38 yards. As long as carry was 7 yards, so that's not who Dameon Pierce is. And Devin Singletary had 7 carries for 15 yards. That's not good either. So you got to help out your quarterback here. This is a lesser matchup right here. I'm going to go ahead and, send it over to the next guy. But I want to shout out Jeffrey in the chat and also Mr. MH. He goes, MH. MH says, Giants better win. Giants fucking better win. Say that right now. But, Luca.
Yeah, I was going to say regarding the Texans, obviously John brought it up that the Texans were pressured a lot last week, and they didn't do such a great job. What is Juice Scruggs injured? Because I have a feeling that he is. Am I not? Am I wrong? Am I right?
I'll take a look for you.
Because he was originally their starting center.
He is on IR.
Okay, that was quick. So Colts, I actually somewhat like their kind of defensive front led by DeForest Buckner. I think Kwity Paye's there as well. But they didn't do. I don't think they did such a bad job versus Jacksonville. Now they gave up some key touchdowns, which is obviously you saw. But I think they're going to keep the pressure on C.J. Stroud. I think the quick throws you got to get C.J. Stroud to a fast start with, obviously because the offensive line has not been good, and you just warm up C.J. Stroud and get him into a rhythm. So that's why I say in that front for the Colts offense, you're going to probably see a lot of running plays for Anthony Richardson, in my opinion. I don't think that he has a really good backfield to go to. So that's
need a veteran. I don't know what the delay is. I mean, because me and what's his please remind me, God, Jim Koch from because we were doing the Cardinals show. I think it was Friday night. He just reminded me because the Cardinals also need a veteran back because James Conner obviously took the bulk of carries, but I don't know what's going on. I mean, I think Kareem Hunt needs to pick a team by now. Why is my thing going blurry? I have no idea. So just give me 1 second, folks.
We're being hacked.
We're being hacked.
We're being hacked, ladies and gents. Who's doing that?
Yeah. But Luca, if you have any other thoughts to add, and also I see some comments popping up, so I'll definitely get that as well.
No, those were essentially my thoughts.
All right. So we're done with the hacking. What is up to Soxy says, love the 6:30 a.m. stream. Blame it on China. Blurpy says, let's see. Ooh, he's got a fantasy question. I think we should maybe tend to that. Start 4. Full PPR. Garrett Wilson, Deebo Samuel, R. White.
Rashad White.
My apologies. AJ Dillon, James Conner, and Joshua Kelly. I've decided on Wilson, Deebo, and Dillon, I think. I'm low-key thinking about benching Wilson, but don't know if I should. And Bills, Colts, or Texans defense this week.
Ooh. Give me one sec to answer all of that because that is a lot to think. So just got to look at some of the numbers here. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think Luca was done as Texans.
And Colts. I was saying Luca. Go ahead if you had more stuff to add.
I don't really have any stuff to add on the Texans Colts front, but I just want to say I low-key, in my opinion, Blurpy, think the Texans defense is a little underrated. So that's maybe a good, pick to obviously they're playing against the Colts. The Colts are playing against the Texans, so that might be
they didn't play terrible against the Ravens, at least from what I thought. I mean,
it was just the offense couldn't get going. The defense was fine for the most part. I think they forced like 1 or 2 turnovers or whatever. They were trying to get to the quarterback. It seemed like a decent unit, but it wasn't like
they're right behind the Giants, which is good. It's not bad. It's actually good. The Giants are 12th, I think, and the Texans are 13th. So that's a good start for DeMeco Ryans. And then also there is a Sox question too in terms of fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
But
so in terms of the receiver, which one I picked to start over, I'd say Garrett Wilson, just because he's a guy that's proven that he can pretty much have really good production with crap quarterback play. Caught a touchdown last week. Okay. It's probably going to be Zach Wilson's, favorite target when he is able to throw the ball. But I would say Garrett Wilson's the better option. And you got a good plethora of running backs there, I see. One guy I would say, because it is going to be tough because I know Aaron Jones is out. Austin Eckler is out. So some guys are going to get some of the bulk of the carries now. But
I don't know that I would. I'm sorry to interrupt, John. I don't know that I would. I mean, Joshua Kelly. Let's see. Who do the Chargers play today?
They have the Titans. They have a tougher matchup today.
Now,
I'd honestly say Rashad White is a really good start because the Bears struggled last week so much to stop the run against the Green Bay Packers before Aaron Jones went down. They really struggled. So I would start Wilson for sure. I'd also probably would start White. I'm trying to think who else I'd start because you said start 4.
Yeah.
Joshua Kelly or a.
I'm going to implement my own bias here, but this is
Mhm.
just my opinion. You really have to look at Arizona's running system. I'm pretty sure they don't run the corners. They don't run east-west. It's more of
Yeah.
a north-south type thing.
And he says
This is James
he
Conner.
he says in a later comment, he says, I think I'm between Rashad White or Connor.
I'm going to take
Honestly,
Rashad White.
I would take Rashad White.
Because what I will say is this. I know a lot of people said, oh, the Giants defense was bad against run last week. They were put in terrible situations. And even when the game, like at the first part when the game counted, they were actually stopping the run pretty well. So it's not all predicated on stats.
Right.
And today, I mean, the Arizona defensive line versus the Arizona offensive line versus Giants defensive line with rotating defensive linemen and Okereke and McFadden are going to play. So as someone, and I'm not being a homer, like if this game they shit the bed and they don't stop the run well, then I'm going to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. But I'm going to say Rashad White on that one.
Yeah, I would say that too. Now in terms of the this one, McLaurin or Gabe Davis. Now, who does Washington play
They
this
play
week?
Denver.
They play Denver,
He's
and
going to be matched up, if he's healthy, to my knowledge, Patrick Surtain.
that's going to be a tough ask. And Gabe Davis, since they're playing, that's going to be a tough one too. I'd have to, if I had to say, I think I'm going to lean toward scary Terry McLaurin, just because he's a guy that I wouldn't sit just because of whether his court, like he's still a really productive receiver. You got to take what he did last week.
I will say this, though. I will say this to add in. Against the Raiders last week, Patrick Surtain, 5 targets, 0 completions allowed, 39.6 passer rating.
Yeah, but he might be on Stephon Diggs more, which might. You know what? Give me Gabe Davis. Give me Gabe Davis because he might be sticking on Diggs more. So
Right.
Gabe Davis might get some touches this week or targets this week. So hold up, I'll go to back to Blurpy's comment. So yeah, so Debo, Garrett Wilson, Dylan, and Rashad White. Yeah, that's what I would do. That's what I would do. I wouldn't sit Debo. I wouldn't sit Dylan because Aaron Jones is out and Dylan's gonna face the Falcons run defense that was ranked 23rd last week. So I think those are the 4 you play. That's my opinion.
I do want to look at something real quick because
Mhm.
I do want to help out on this question. So, yeah, no, it's
They
pretty
do.
pretty damn true that Titans have because they rank as a top unit. But sometimes if you rank as a top unit, it means the team you play didn't really run the ball much. But no, they shut down Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams had 2.5 yards per carry. So
Right.
and that's
Right.
18 carries. So that's not no small sample size. But I do agree here. Do I start Taylor Algier or Taylor Algier or AJ Dillon?
This week I would probably who?
Packers play the Falcons, and the Falcons play the Packers.
Yeah.
I think they did a decent. Like I'll take a look once again. I'm pretty sure they did a decent job at stopping the run last week.
I would say AJ Dillon just because Algier is gonna share touches with Robinson. So
Yeah.
I would say AJ Dillon.
And then Almighty says, "Is Brees Hall playing? I have him started."
Yeah, Brees Hall will be playing. I don't know if they're still gonna have him on a snap count. But he was the best Jets running back.
Yeah, I was about to say, even then, if he's on a snap count, he's probably going to be the most explosive. But
yeah, no, and he clearly was Brees Hall. 10 carries, 127 yards last week. And by the way, I believe 5 of those rushes were for more than 20 yards. So
yeah, I
which is
mean, like
nuts.
if you take away the 83-yard carry, that's 44. And that's what, 9 carries. That's still over 4 per pop, which is average in the NFL. It's above average, if anything. So, no, I would definitely start Brees Hall. Definitely start Brees Hall.
Yeah,
And then,
I
of
would.
course,
And
to
yes, this is what I'm saying. Debo, Garrett, Dillon, and Rashad White. Those are the guys I would probably start.
yeah, appreciate the questions, guys. You may definitely make
Keep them coming.
So yeah, keep them coming. But Angry John, if you want to get to some of the top matchups you're looking for.
All right. Going into this game, before we get into specific position, you look at the Colts, right? One big key for them has got to be the line of scrimmage battle for these guys. They have to win this battle. Obviously, you look at their defense. They spent millions of dollars strengthening both lines. DeForest Buckner's a stud. Against the Texans' offensive line. Remember, the Texans allowed 5 sacks last week. Okay, so not the best there. And you look at the Colts' offensive line. It looked kind of quite like a little underwhelming. Like still a good unit, but they should be great. They got Quentin Nelson, Braden Smith, Kelly in the middle. And they only had 65 rushing yards in the loss. I know no Jonathan Taylor, but still they're expected to do better. And you're going up against Will Anderson Jr., rookie. We mentioned he had a sack. He had 6 tackles in that game against the Ravens. So another looking to be a star in this league one day. The Colts, they need to give Anthony Richardson more time and establish the run game, like we said. Hopefully that make it easier because that's how they're going to really win this game. You look at the Texans really quickly. We mentioned it. Will Anderson Jr. Really impressive in the loss last week, and had some high praise from their rookie head coach DeMeco Ryans. Anderson really did his part. He was one of the more important players, even when he was at Alabama. In his college days, he had 34.5 sacks, 58 tackles for a loss. He's athletic. He's a real speed edge rusher that can, disrupt some of these better offensive lines. So that's why they drafted him 3rd overall. We knew how good he was going to be. We knew the athleticism was there.
They traded back for him, didn't they? Or
what
was
happened?
that somebody else?
They traded up for him. They traded back
Arizona's
up. Arizona's
got the Texans pick next year.
That's right. So that's what they were looking for in this kid, and he didn't disappoint in his first game against Baltimore in week 1. Now we're going to, as Classy Nasty, throw in some of the
what's up,
nice,
Classy?
The nice perks of being a member. That's
exactly.
Right. Anyway, you look at the positional matchups now, and we're going to go down from the line. We'll start at the quarterback, who I think has the edge. I think Anthony Richardson actually has the edge because he looked a little more seasoned in his first week than C.J. Stroud. Now, maybe that's because, Stroud's under a lot more duress and more, not just duress, but not the best supporting cast around him yet. But I think Anthony Richardson, he looked a little better in training camp, in my opinion. And the arm is there, man. Like everyone forgets that this guy isn't a runner. This guy, Richardson, has a cannon. He's got some guys that can go downfield and get it. So that's why I'm leaning toward Anthony Richardson. Again, had a solid game 1 against a better team last week. Now you look at the running back edge. I'm giving this to the Texans. Now, I know that Dameon Pierce is coming off injury, so it might take some time, but they also got some good complementary backs with Singletary and Boone as their 2nd and 3rd string for more 3rd down situations or goal line stuff. So maybe not for fantasy, but excuse me. I feel the Colts, Anthony Richardson is their best runner right now. Deion Jackson really inefficient because the offensive line didn't do the greatest job in the run game last week. And Zach Moss is, he's a decent 2nd stringer, although he might get some more touches today over Deion Jackson. But I feel like Anthony Richardson is their most explosive runner on this team and also has the ability to make men miss more. As Armin says from Rap Sheet, the expectation is the Falcons will split carries between Bijan and Algier. So that is correct. And I think that's why I'm more toward A.J. Dillon with no Aaron Jones today, who's not expected to play according to Schefter. But I got to give it to the Texans edge with the running back because I expect I'm going to start expecting a little more from Pierce. He was a really solid rookie last year with one of the top guys in his class, right behind Breece Hall before Pierce's unfortunate injury. A lot of speed and a guy that can fight for contact after yards. Or yards after contact, excuse me. But nevertheless, I'm going with the running back edge to them. The wide receiver group, I got to go with the Texans on this one. They got some good guys in that room. Nico Collins had a really good showing last week. Robert Woods is a guy, a couple seasons ago, he was a 1,000-yard receiver with the Rams back when he was with the Sean McVay, Jared Goff offense. So he really impressed there. John Mechie, a guy we talked about a little last week, coming back from what he battled, hoping that he bounces back this year. And one of the rookies who I know all three of us were impressed by, Tank Dell. I remember doing the preseason game. He looked like one of the best players. I forgot which preseason game that was. That might have been Texans Patriots, if I'm not mistaken. But Tank Dell, a guy with a lot of speed, a good catch radius. I like him a lot. So they do have that for them. Now, in terms of the tight end group, originally I was going to say the Colts, but now that Grannion's a little questionable, I am going to change my answer to the Texans on this one. I like the pickup of Dalton Schultz. I think he's a good safety blanket. I think he might even have a decent fantasy day today for anyone that needs some help in the tight end room. You remember what he was in Dallas. He was Dak's safety blanket for him. And I think that's exactly what Stroud needs to trust more. He needs to, they're trying to have a short passing game, a lot of dink and dunks. So go hit the tight end and, get the 5-10 yards. And Schultz is going to benefit from that. So, and he's pretty athletic for a tight end, I must say. In terms of, we got the offensive line for the last offense part. I'm going to run with the Colts. Their run game wasn't that strong, but their pass protection was okay. And they still got some guys that have been an all-pro. I know the Texans are heavily banged up. We mentioned earlier, no Howard, no Kenyon Green, no Scruggs. I know they acquired Shaq Mason. They still got Tunsil there, but a lot of backups and depth being tested very early for a rookie quarterback. That just doesn't add up to a whole lot of success. But nevertheless, we look onto the defense now really quickly. In terms of the defensive line and because they both have a 4-3. I'm going with the Colts in terms of overall the defensive tackles and edge. We mentioned Buckner. Kwity Paye, a real bright spot. He was he was a first-round pick back in 2021 out of Michigan. A lot of hope and hopefully he breaks out. Last year he had 6 sacks. So they're trying to get even more out of him on the edge. And they got some decent players also with Grover Stewart. Samson Ibukam is a good rotational guy. Drafting Taven Bryan. So that really does help.
Bryan's been a veteran in this league for years, John.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of someone else. I'm thinking of I was thinking of a kid on Clemson. I apologize. I'm thinking of Brian Breesy. I don't know why. All right, clown. You know what? Next time you mess up, when you're going through all your notes, I'm going to be the most annoying person out there.
Okay.
I'm going to be the most annoying person out there.
I think Breesy is a saint, no?
He is. I had the name Brian in my head because of that. Anywho, we look at the linebacking core. In terms of the inside linebacker position, I do like the Colts. And it's not just because of Shaq Leonard, who's a very good side-to-side guy. But EJ Speed had a really solid week last week. Actually,
I
was
also like
graded
Sayer Franklin. I think he's pretty solid too.
Franklin,
He took over like the majority last year when Leonard went down.
I gotta take a look at that because I don't remember their whole roster from last year. But EJ Speed, Pro Football Focus had one of the highest graded on defense last week, all over the field too. Pretty solid in tackling, so that does help them. Now, just in terms of pass rush, the Texans do have some guys too that aren't to be a joke. Jonathan Greenard had really solid last week. Obviously, the rookie Will Anderson hoping to continue. Yeah, even some guys up front. Sheldon Rankins. We know he's a good. How good he was with the Jets. Malik Collins, another guy that can help out. So they do have some guys on that front that ain't afraid to play. And, we talked about that. Now, the edge I think that the Texans really do have in this defense, it's not their front seven, but it's their secondary. Steve Nelson had a pick last week, played pretty okay in coverage. Derek Stingley's the man to watch out. He's their corner. They're trying to groom. Remember, they passed on Sauce Gardner to go take him because they think he's that special. So he's going to be the man that is going to be tasked to cover Michael Pittman Jr. today. And also the Colts have a very weak secondary, in my opinion. Flowers and Baker were not good last week at all. Kenny Moore was okay in coverage in the second half, but remember, Calvin Ridley torched some of these guys. So a weaker secondary to a very good front seven. I'm got to give the edge there to the Colts. Sorry, to the Texans for the secondary. And the special teams, I'm going with the Houston Texans in this as well. I really like the fact they have Tank Dell as a return man for the punt returns. This kid's explosive, and they're going to call his name to rise to the occasion. I like Mike Boone as a kick returner as well. Robert Woods they can also go to, so they do have some guys there that can burn. Fairbairn I liked as a kicker. Kind of an underrated player, maybe like I'd say toward the middle of the park, but he's been there a while. And Ty Zenter was the punter who had about 44 yards per punt last week. He had a long of 48. So if we want, I'll go first, and I'll give my game pick for this one.
Okay.
I'm leaning the Houston Texans. I got them by the score 17-14, and I might as well just put Texans in the book of wonder here because that'll make my life easier. Who you guys got?
Yeah, give me the Texans. I'm gonna go 13-10.
I got 17-14.
I'm gonna go Texans 20-13.
All right, so we all saying H-Town.
Just real quick for the chat, it's called Algo John. Guess what he was referring to something.
God.
And then also maybe after this, Armin did send me his props for the week and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
So then we
you want to go?
stat predictions.
Do you want to go over stat predictions?
Yeah, I say we do. Of course, Luca didn't tack in his here, so he's gonna have to come up with them on the spot.
I can do that. That's not a problem.
But I say we do not like John's predictions and my predictions. No, I say we start with like lead passer and then we go forward from there. So John, if you want to start with yours, lead passer.
All right. I got CJ Stroud as the lead passer today. I'm going 250 yards, 2 TDs, and a pick.
Okay. I got CJ Stroud 238 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions.
I was going to go CJ Stroud, 1 touchdown, interception, 226 yards.
Can you tag that in the doc, please, so it's easier to put points down?
Of course, I'm the dummy.
Yes, you are. John?
Lead rusher, I got Damian Pierce at 50 yards today.
Damn, the California don't have betting yet? I'm surprised. But for me, from the leading rusher, I have Anthony Richardson at 70 yards.
Alex, I'm busy typing.
Clown.
Whatever. I'm going to say leading rusher, I'm going to go Damian Pierce, 98 yards.
Okay. Next.
Okay. All right, we got lead receiver. I'm going with Michael Pittman, 110 yards, and I say he gets a touchdown today.
I'm going to say Dalton Schultz, 78 yards.
Okay.
I'm going to go. Why do I have a feeling that Robert Woods is going to have a low-key good game?
If that's your man, go pick him.
70. I'm going to go 75 yards, Robert Woods.
And you are subject to be wrong, by the way.
So is everybody.
Okay.
Lead tackler, Shaq Leonard. I got 12 tackles.
Give me Shaq Leonard 10 tackles. So I'm gonna one up John here.
No, you didn't one up me. I have more tackles.
But I'm one upping you because I'm picking the same player, just like 2 down. I'm trying to be precise and a little bit more right.
I'm gonna go Jalen Petre. I'm gonna say he grabs 8 tackles.
Injured.
He's injured.
Fuck.
He's out.
On the spot. I'm trying to be different here.
By picking an injured player.
Let me find somebody on the Texans that could do the job. I'm gonna go Christian Harris, 7 tackles.
All right. Thought Denzel Perryman would have been the pick, but and then lead sacker.
I got Jonathan Greenard, 1.5 sacks today for him.
I got Kwity Paye at 1.
Okay.
DeForest Buckner is gonna grab a sack. I'll take 1.
Okay. John's out for violence today.
I'm not out for violence. Why am I? I'm not out for violence.
Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't. Yeah. Peace. Yeah. But
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Okay, John. Okay, Pastor John. Yeah, I think that does it for predictions. By the way, I just want to add this in because me and John were doing the totals last week. So what we do is if you get a full prediction right, you get more than a point in terms of these prediction stats we do every single week here. But if you get like a player right or a receiving yard right or a closest player right, you get half. So right now, I lead the pack at 5. Luca is second place at 4.5, and John is at 4. So there's that. So I'm in the lead for that. John's in the lead for picks, and then Luca will be in the lead for something, I guess, down the line. Anyway.
Or picking injured players.
Ha ha. Wow, I found that so funny, John.
Oh, come on.
Cheer up. Final thoughts.
No, were you saying to me or were you saying
whoever wants to go? Final thoughts in terms of this game.
I honestly think today that CJ Stroud's going to get his first win. And I'm looking forward to see what that front 7 can do. Especially the Will Anderson. Yeah, and I see violence according to Sox. Go ahead, Luca.
I'm saying defensive battle. That's all I got to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I say defensive battle, rookie mistakes, ends in a Texans W. So before we get to Luca's game, I do want to pull this up. Our buddy Armin did send this to me. Of course, actually, you know what? It's actually right here. All right, so of course, stupid StreamYard because you can only have so many photos at one time. All right, so here's part 1 of his props that he did send me. I'll let you read that over as I get the second one up.
All right. Damn. Huge parlay.
That's a lot.
And then when you're ready, I'll go to the second part.
I'm ready.
That's potential payout. So,
all right,
Armin's not fucking around today.
I'm rooting for him.
I'm rooting for him too.
Can we get some of that money? Maybe. No, I'm playing. Anyway, I'm gonna load the graphic up, and we will go into the next game, which is one of the more enticing games this week. Luca, if you want to lead us into it.
So this week we got the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Kansas City Chiefs. Home opener for the Jacksonville Jaguars. First game on the road for the Kansas City Chiefs. My storyline for the Chiefs is the return of Travis Kelce and the return of Chris Jones. I don't expect either to be 100% when it comes to conditioning. Maybe more so Kelce because he obviously practiced more because Chris Jones has been holding out. That's what I say for the Chiefs. When it comes to the storyline, the Jaguars have not beat the Chiefs since 2009. So this could be very well much their chance to beat them. And I believe a victory could have major implications down the line for seeding because these are two of the top teams and two likely division winners in the AFC. So looking at the top performers from last week, Detroit versus Kansas City, he actually led the way with rushing yards and passing yards, 226 yards through the air and 45 rushing yards through the ground. I don't expect that all to be the case today. I think Mahomes obviously has more passing yards, but I think he has less rushing yards. They're going to lean on. They're obviously going to have Travis Kelce there, so I think he's not going to be carrying as much in the rushing game. But I also think that Isaiah Pacheco will have a nice role. It depends on how the linebackers play for Jacksonville. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, 2 receptions and 48 yards last week. Not much to say about that. But the defensive player I thought was really good last week in place of Chris Jones, and I think should have some nice reps this week, is Mike Dana, defensive tackle. 6 tackles, 4 solo tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 pass breakup, and 1 quarterback hit, which was the sack. Moving over to Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, 24 of 32 last week versus the Colts, 241 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, 7 rushes for 21 yards, which is 3 yards per carry. Travis Etienne had a solid day, not a great day, 18 rushes for 71 yards, 3.9 yards per carry, and 5 receptions and 27 yards out of the backfield. Calvin Ridley had a big day, and I expect him to have a big day today. 8 receptions, 101 yards, and a touchdown. 2 players who I thought really played well. Josh Allen, which not many people talked about last week in terms of the defensive end. 10 tackles, 7 solo tackles, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and 2 quarterback hits. Linebacker Foye Oluokun, 13 tackles, 8 solo tackles, 1 pass defense, and 1 quarterback hit. So I will preview, I think it's going to come down to the linebacker performance for the defense of the Jaguars. For Kansas City's offense, as of right now, again, this is all skewed because it's only 1 week. The Kansas City offense ranks 14th in the passing game, 21st in the rushing game, and 16th in scoring. Their passing defense ranks 26th. Rushing defense ranks 24th, and their scoring defense ranks 17th. Jaguars, passing offense, they rank 10th. Rushing offense, they rank 13th. Points on scoring, they rank 5th. Defense, they rank 21st in the passing, 4th in rushing defense, and 17th in scoring. My top matchups I'm looking forward to is Calvin Ridley versus Joshua Williams. Williams drafted last year. This is going to be tough for the second-year man. I think he's out of Fayetteville State. But Ridley was a force to be reckoned with last week, as I mentioned, 8 receptions, 101 yards. I know there's a prop bet out there that says over that has Calvin Ridley's receptions at around 6. I'd hit the over personally because I think he's in line for another big game just to show.
How much money is that, by the way? I'm sorry to interrupt. That's probably like cheap out there, right? You said
in terms of the prop. Well, again, it's a prop, so you can choose how much you want to bet on it. But he's got to hit the over, in my opinion. I would not be shocked. So moving on. Again, top matchup. This is my second best matchup. You got Travis Kelce versus the Jags linebackers. You got Devin Lloyd. You have Foye Oluokun, even though I think Oluokun's more of the tackling run support linebacker. As more of I get into the game plan, middle of the field, linebackers will be key. Travis Kelce's a force. Even if you double him, Mahomes has his weapons. But even without Kelce last week, let's just say they double him, I think Mahomes could, or it depends on how the secondary plays for Jacksonville. Mahomes had a little bit of trouble last week with reliable receivers. I know I mentioned Marquez Valdes-Scantling, 2 receptions only. Kadarius Toney, multiple drops. Sky Moore had a few drops in there too. So I think Kansas City's receivers have to play better outside of Kelce, especially if Kelce has a kind of, I'm not going to say a down game, but not a game that you'd expect from him because this is his first game of the season. Another top matchup, I'm looking at Josh Allen, 3 sacks last week against Jawan Taylor, the former Jacksonville Jaguar. Jawan Taylor, obviously, amidst a lot of controversy last week with the false starts and also the incorrect alignments. So I think Josh Allen is going to take him to school. Another favorable Jacksonville matchup, obviously they run the 3-4, is right outside linebacker, sophomore Trayvon Walker versus Donovan Smith. Smith, I think, had a few holding penalties last week, maybe just one, but he is up there in age and he is past his prime. So if Jacksonville's pass rushers, which I think they have a decent amount of, especially with Allen and Walker, they can get after the quarterback successfully, keep Mahomes in the pocket, and obviously put pressure in his face. And that's what the Lions did also last week. Very well much so.
Real quickly, I do want to get some comments. Armin says, in the name of the Father, the Son, and Money Spirit, amen.
Good one.
Charles Barkley says, let's go Giants. Get right game today. He also has a fantasy question. Right now, I'm starting Breece Hall and James Cook in PPR league. You think I have Dalvin Cook and Mostert on my bench, but do you think I should swap any of them?
That's a good question. Give me a sec to take a look. Go ahead. I'll get to your let me just research some numbers here. Go ahead. Go.
Luca, you were saying beforehand?
No, I was just talking about the matchups. If anybody has any thoughts about like what their favorite matchup is, and opening thoughts on like the Jacksonville offense, defense, Chiefs offense or defense.
Well, I mean, obviously the weapons are a little bit of a concern as we saw last week, but I think less attention. Jacksonville, I think, has a good defense. Obviously they gave up 21 points against the Colts last week. I don't know if Richardson threw an interception or not, but
He did.
Okay, so I was right on that one. But I think the Jaguars right now are a force to be messed with. I think they're kind of the AFC's version of the Lions. Personally, me, I mean, I don't know if they take this game. Obviously, I'll go into my predictions in a little bit. But they obviously are taking advantage of a weak division. And I think, this could be a game where at least if they're close, they kind of buy into it. So as far as, and even like I would personally, if the receivers are still not reliable with less pressure on them, with Kelsey being in the game, I would lean towards maybe a little bit of the screen game, the quick game, stuff like that. Not too deep concepts. And obviously Jacksonville's got to key in on that. So as far as the Jacksonville side, I mean, Trevor Lawrence was absolutely phenomenal last week if you were watching the game. And then Calvin Ridley, man, I mean, obviously that whole betting thing was pretty much bullshit, as we could all kind of agree here. But man, I would like to see him go up against these Chiefs corners.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that Jawan Taylor and Josh Allen, I think that's a force to be reckoned with. I think Josh Allen's going to kick ass this week, my personal opinion.
Right.
Sock says they have to make Mahomes uncomfortable. If they keep the Kansas City Chiefs off the field, Jackson will be able to keep it close. I agree with that. Very much agree with that. Doug Peterson has done a good job of keeping them in games. John, whenever you're ready, of course.
So to answer that fantasy question, I think it's the right move to start Breece and James Cook, because between Hall and Cook might, take some touches away, but he wasn't as explosive as Hall. Not to say that Cook did a bad job, but Breece Hall, remember, a lot of those yards after contact, which he gets a lot of. So you can bet more on Breece Hall getting more yards and maybe even a big touchdown possibly. And in terms of, I'd rather pick James Cook over Mostert. The Patriots are a really solid defense. I mean, I know they lost week 1, but you see the difference of how Philly was able to run the ball against Minnesota, and not as much of the same success against New England, as it just wasn't as fluent, in my opinion. As I'll take a look at some of the bigger numbers, but nevertheless, like I would still say that just because it's the Pats defense, like I wouldn't want to face them. Like the Philly rushing against New England in week 1, 25 carries, 97 yards. That's a huge difference from what they did to Minnesota the other night, from which we covered. Swift only had 1 carry of 3 yards. Gainwell was like 14 carries, 54 yards. No one even touched over 60 yards. So I would not start Mostert at all. I'm very scared of Miami's offense. I think they got some really good players like Tua and Hill. Obviously, those are the guys you start every week, but New England can really shut guys down. So I wouldn't I wouldn't even touch Mostert in this game, and I rather just go with Hall and Cook.
Any of y'all got Ridley in fantasy? I
No.
do. 1 or 2 teams. So Rashid Rice will catch a touchdown today. I know he had a crucial drop last week, which I want to say is one of his issues in college. But okay, so Armin has a take there, which we'll, I guess, revisit at some point. But John, you got any thoughts on this game before Luca goes into the depths?
Yeah, I mean, remember, two of the top guys for this squad. And remember, we talked about Jacksonville a little bit last week. We're waiting for them to ascend into a powerhouse now as on the Chiefs level. But we mentioned, Luca mentioned the Chiefs, they get their best receiver back in Travis Kelce. The Chris Jones holdout ends, so they get their top defensive player as well. And you're hoping that's going to be good enough to, get them back to where they were. They struggled in week 1. Obviously, we mentioned some of the key drops at receiving. The defense held up, but it wasn't spectacular. And in terms of Jacksonville, they did beat up on a Colts team. Although I feel like they kept it close for most of the games. So I wouldn't say Jacksonville, played to their level of my expectation as well. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be phenomenal. I mean, last week had 241 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Colts. Obviously, getting Ridley is only going to help, add to guys like Kirk, because we've been raving about. But they got some solid defensive players, too. You mentioned some of the linebackers. Even Josh Allen had a really big week last week, 3 sacks. Tyson Campbell as a corner, someone that I like, and I expect to do better. So this Jacksonville team does have some talents. Offensive line's a little bit of a suspect, in my opinion. So maybe Chris Jones and some of their pass rushers get to that today. But we'll see. And I do think it's going to be a much closer game. I'm not going to spoil my prediction yet. But Luca, if you want to take it away first.
Yep, I'll move on to the positional battles. I obviously previewed the top matchups.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Jaguars pass rush. Somebody say something?
No.
Okay. Positional battles, quarterbacks. Kansas City obviously wins it. Mahomes is the best in the league. Jaguars with the running backs, I think they have the edge. I know KC's got some good backs. They obviously got Jerick McKinnon. They have CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but I think I'm not as high as on some people's level when I think of him. You also got Isaiah Pacheco. For the Jaguars, it's Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. I actually like them better than KC, only by a hair. In terms of receivers, we already talked about Kansas City's receivers, how they underwhelmed last week. I like Jacksonville's better. Christian Kirk. You also have Zay Jones. You also have Calvin Ridley, as we already mentioned. In terms of the tight end spot, Travis Kelce is the winner. I know Evan Ingram's good, but Travis Kelce, it's just different when he's in the game. It's just his impact is so big. And anyone can obviously watch, his impact on the football field and his ability to just receive and ability
to be
the
tight end in football.
Absolutely. Absolutely the best tight end in football. Offensive line, I barely gave the Chiefs a kind of edge here. I mean, you break it down with the left tackle spot. You have Donovan Smith versus Walker Little. You have at the center position, I believe it is Creed Humphrey versus Luke Fortner. Joe Thuney versus Ben Barch at the left guard position. So let me try to think of the other positions. Right guard. Who's at right guard? I was trying to think about it.
If you want, I could have the Chiefs depth chart in front.
Yeah, you can pull that up.
I got you. Right guard for the Chiefs is Trey Smith.
Trey Smith, and I was trying to think of the one for the Jaguars. It's Scherf.
Brandon
Scherf
yep.
for the Jaguars. So it's like almost even keeled, but I think I'm taking the Chiefs barely because of Thuney, because he's so elite.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, you mentioned Thuney. Creed Humphrey, probably one of the best centers in the game as well, since they drafted him. So out of Oklahoma, so you know that the Chiefs have very good pass protection up there. And I'll get to 2 comments right here. Armin says, Jags running back Tank Bigsby. He's saying we'll rush for 70 yards and a touchdown. I actually do like Tank Bigsby to have a solid rookie season. And Charles Barkley says, I think Chris Jones and Kelce make a big difference today. No, I agree. I think, this game, I also think this game is going to be more of a shootout, but
that's a fair pick.
Mm-hmm. But go ahead, Luca, go back into the rest of the position battles.
Moving into the defensive line, I'm going to have the pull up depth charts here. I actually like the Chiefs better. Chris Jones, being up front is just a different animal. They also have Derek Gennady, who's a solid run stopper. I mentioned Mike Dana, who also played very well. They also have the rookie Felix Enrique Uzama. George Karlaftis is also very underrated, who can come off the edge in a pinch. I like that edge room better, and I should say defensive line room better, because I think they run a 4-3. Jags run a 3-4, so I believe the Jaguars' outside linebackers are better, but I'll get to in a sec. Let's see here. Moving on to the next position, we got inside linebackers. I'm taking Jacksonville. It's a tough. This one was a tough one, John. I'll tell you why. For Jacksonville, as I mentioned, Devin Lloyd and Foye Oluokun. For Kansas City, it's Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquil. That's like neck and neck almost. So I barely took Jacksonville in this one. Outside linebackers, I'm taking Jacksonville as well. As I mentioned, Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker are just so impactful getting to the quarterback, and they're just
people forget that Trayvon Walker was a first overall pick.
That's right.
So
he's a little bit under the radar by some people. Getting into the secondary, I think Jacksonville's better. I like their players. Obviously, I like Tyson Campbell. I like Trey Herndon. He's all right. Rashawn Jenkins, a good safety. Darius Williams, who obviously they picked up from the Rams. I think it was last year. They have a solid secondary. There's no elite secondary here. The Chiefs have Joshua Williams, Trent McDuffie, Justin Reed as a safety, and L'Jarius Sneed as the cornerback. I'm going to say the Chiefs do not win this battle.
I will say this: the one position I'll disagree with you is the inside linebacker position. I really do like Nick Bolton. I think he's got a very high IQ, and I think he's very good, especially he can stop the run well, and he can also do a decent job in pass coverage. I think he's just the best linebacker inside in the game between this game. Out of anyone. That's why I disagree a little, but I do agree on the other takes you have.
Your objection is duly noted.
Yep. Moving on to the special teams, I like the Jaguars better. I think McManus didn't have such a great game last week, but even then, I still like Jamal Agnew returning kicks, regardless. So, let's see. I know we're going to get into predictions now, but does anyone have thoughts on let me get into the game plan, as that's something I want to get into before the predictions. For me, as I've said numerous times, at least 3 times here, the Jaguars linebackers are going to be absolutely crucial, not only in stopping the run, not only getting pressure on the quarterback, but stopping Travis Kelce. He's coming back, and I think he's going to try to be in full force. If you double Kelce, I think it limits Mahomes a little bit, because that is obviously his best weapon. Now, you can go to the quick game, and then, again, linebacker is going to be important, because you could go to the quick game. Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon. You get to the running backs. Again, it's going to come down to the second level in terms of, it's not even the secondary I'm worried about. The secondary is fine. Linebackers are going to be the brick wall. They can either be a brick wall or they could be a damn turnstile instead of getting run over, a cones, whatever phenomenon you want to use. So the linebackers, I think, are going to be really important for Jacksonville. So Josh Allen, Foye Oluokun, stopping the run, getting to the passer. For Kansas City defense, so that's now Kansas City, obviously, offensively, Kelce's their best weapon. Again, screen game, they're going to have to use that a lot. Try to get the Jacksonville linebackers off balance. Get the offensive linemen to the second level. Joe Thuney could do a good job blocking. So can Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey. That's an elite. I think it's an elite interior, honestly.
It is. It might be the best.
Probably is the best. Maybe. No, I wouldn't even say the Eagles, but I would say the Chiefs definitely. For Jacksonville, I think you just go after the young corner, and I think I said it was Joshua Williams. Calvin really had a monster game last week. I'd also look to attack the Chiefs linebackers a little bit. I know Leah Chenal is a good linebacker. Nick Bolton is good as well. They're going to try to ramp up the pressure on Mahomes. I could see Steve Spagnuolo sending some blitzes. Running game, also, obviously, when you have Trevor Lawrence as a passer, that's going to open up the running game for Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. I somewhat expect them to have a good game as well. I know Armin once said that Tank Bigsby is going to have a touchdown. I wouldn't be surprised if he does, especially in the red zone. I think Jacksonville is going to go all in on the aerial attack. And not only Calvin Ridley is going to help out, but I think they've also got other weapons too. Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, attacking the middle of the field, attacking deep. So I think it's going to be a full-on aerial attack in this one for the Jacksonville game plan, and I think what they're able to do offensively.
Right.
So go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, right. Are we going to move into the predictions?
Yes. So I started out my predictions. I think Mahomes throws 3 touchdowns, 280 passing yards.
Okay.
Who's up? Me?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Trevor Lawrence gets 250, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. The leading passer today.
Really? Okay. That's bold. Alex?
Okay. Give me... Okay, so I just realized. All right. Patrick Mahomes, 260, 2 touchdowns.
Okay. That's a fair prediction as well. Leading rusher, I went Travis Etienne, 112 yards and a touchdown.
I have him capped at 90 yards and a touchdown.
I have him capped at 67 yards.
Any touchdowns for him, Alex?
No.
Okay. Moving into leading receiving, Travis Kelce all the way. 120. I have him at 85 yards and a touchdown.
I'm going with Calvin Ridley today. 110 yards, touchdown.
That's fair. That's fair.
I want to throw a quick shout out to my man Raph in the chat. What's going on, man? He is a Raiders fan, by the way, so he will be playing your rivals, the Buffalo Bills.
We'll be happily rooting you on.
Yeah.
What was I going to say, though? I'm gonna put his channel in the chat in a second. I'm going to go ahead and say, contrary to what most people think, I'm going to go Travis Kelce, touchdown, 112 yards.
Leading tackler, this is obviously for the game. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Nick Bolton, 8 tackles.
I went with Luca at 12 tackles.
Okay, I'm going to go Luca 10 tackles. That's the second time we've done that.
Yeah, I don't know.
That one I didn't.
You just trying to one up. You trying to undercut me. That's what you trying to do.
That's the second time, and that's the same exact numbers.
You see, he's cheating. He's cheating.
How is it? Wait, hold on. How is that cheating?
It depends on who put the prediction there first.
I did.
For Luca? No, you didn't. Wait. Maybe you didn't. All right, that's because Luca. You know what? Whatever.
Okay. Clown. Next.
So moving on, leading sacker, I'm going to go George Karlaftis. He grabs a sack. I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Allen grabs a sack as well. Again, that's arbitrary because, again, you could have one guy lead the way with 1 sack and another guy has a sack. So I would say George Karlaftis and Josh Allen each get a sack.
Okay. All right, John?
I'm going with Trayvon Walker is going to grab a sack today.
I'm going to go Josh Allen at 1.5.
All right. And
game predictions.
Final scores. Go ahead, Luca.
I'm going a little on the contrary because I did mention how I think Jacksonville can keep this close, but I think the Chiefs run away with it. I'm going to go 28-17 Chiefs.
I'm putting that down in the Book of Wonder. Originally, I was going to go Jacksonville, but I'm changing my prediction to Kansas City. 28-24 Chiefs.
Is that because Kelce and Chris Jones are back?
Yeah, and I'm like, Mahomes is going to lose twice in a row. No way.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and say 27-20 Kansas City.
Chiefs sweep. All right.
That's our second sweep of the day, right?
Well, technically, it's our third of the week because we all picked the Eagles on Thursday Night Football. So
and we were all right there. So it makes a lot of sense. But Luca, if you got any final thoughts on this game, and we'll move on to our third game and then our other subjects too.
Final thoughts. I actually really wanted this game to be the game of the week here, like on CBS, the 1 o'clocker. But obviously, it's gonna be Raiders Bills.
Oh, I mean, I'll root for Raph's Raiders, but
right. All right.
I'll
watch Red Zone. I'll watch Red Zone.
Or I'll watch Red Zone. I just wanted Chiefs Jaguars because it's such a good game because, again, 2 AFC contenders. It's going to be a close one, as I said. I know it's 11 points. I still think it's close in my opinion, but I don't, again, as I agree with John, even with Kelsey and Chris Jones, I don't see the Chiefs losing 2 in a row.
Almighty says, "What is the 1:00 game on Fox?"
There is no 1 o'clock. There is no 1 o'clock game on Fox.
Apparently, there is none, Almighty, because we get
the Giants play
4:00 Giants game. It's so stupid though. It's like if the New York team plays at 4, you don't get a 1:00 or.
So if you want to watch a Fox game, you're gonna have to go to Red Zone for that.
Yeah. So, John, any final thoughts on this game?
I think it's gonna be a shootout. I think just because I predicted that score, I wouldn't be surprised if both teams go over 30. I could see it, but
all right. Classy Nasty says Isaiah Simmons revenge game. I hope so, man. What is the one? Yep, talk about that. 33-27 Chiefs, 31-28 Chiefs. JD with a interesting pick. The Jaguars will chew up the Chiefs today. Okay. Okay. And then 31-27 Chiefs. So let's move into my game. I love this game. I don't know why. I love this game. Lions, they're coming off of a hot win against Kansas City Chiefs. The Seahawks, no, it's on Fox, actually. Adam Amin and Mark Schlereth are calling the game, and I believe I don't know who's Luca will probably get to you on that. Who's calling the Cowboys?
The Jets Cowboys are on CBS, I'm pretty sure.
Jim Nantz and Tony Romo.
Tony Romo. You guys are gonna get a lot of Cowboys nepotism there. Lions nailed the Seahawks today, roar. But Luca, you were saying?
I was gonna say there's always a mute button if Tony Romo gets out of control.
Always you can watch it in, you know what? Don't do that, Luca. You could always watch it in Spanish.
No. Then I won't understand a damn thing.
Ooh, Classy Nasty says he knows a website where you can watch all the NFL games. Well, if you want to, feel free to plug it.
Don't be afraid to share.
Yeah, sharing is caring.
Caring
is caring. It says Seahawks Lions is the Fox 1:00 game. Well, it depends on honestly where you live. Like I know Almighty and Luca and myself, we all live in this same borough. So
just here's the thing, Charles. Look up NFL Maps Week 2, 2023. It's going to show CBS, obviously, where what early game you have, depending on what area you live in. Fox will show the same thing as well. And pretty much everybody except I think the West Coast region gets the Jets and Cowboys. I don't know what the other CBS game of the week is, and I got to look that up, obviously. Damn it.
Classy Nasty says, okay, hold up. Thank you, Classy Nasty. Almighty says, question for the Jet fans. What are your thoughts on Rodgers looking to return this season during the playoffs?
Would absolutely love it if he does.
See, normally Luke would be pulling out the whiteboard, but it's John with the notebook this time.
Nothing, because nothing will happen because the Jets season's over.
I honestly hate Troy Aikman more than I do Tony Romo, and that's hard to do.
I agree with that one.
Yeah, Aikman is just he's unbearable. So anyway, there was something I was going to get to. Oh, I forgot to mention this because Almighty said it, and I know we're not doing game picks. We're not discussing our local teams first. But Connor Hughes came out with a recent tweet, and he did a podcast with somebody. He says the Jets are going to win today and that they're going to make the playoffs.
Okay.
Listen, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, we'll see.
I don't have high hopes, but we'll see. We're going to have to ride this out as it is.
I have no hopes. None.
Okay, John.
I mean, he doesn't. He has to be honest. So
I do.
CBS and Fox put some games on at 1 and 4 p.m. It depends coast where you live. If you're in the East, West, Central, yeah, exactly. The NFL Maps probably is the biggest indicator of each. But as I said before, I mean, I really like this game. Really love it, actually, because these two, if you guys remember, it was a 48-41 score, I believe, last year between these two teams. Two offensive powerhouses. You got the Seahawks, again, coming off that loss to the Rams, a really unexpected blowout. And then you got the Detroit Lions coming off of, this is a longer week for them, which is good for the rest. But both teams are really dealing with some injuries. So storyline A, which is storyline for a away team, it's them playing without both tackles today. Abraham Lucas, who they selected, I believe it was last year or the year before that. I'm pretty sure it was last year. He's now on IR with an injury. Charles Cross, who they selected out of Mississippi State, he is out. And also, it's not going to be Jason Peters this week. he's not going to start this week. So it's going to be Stone Forsythe, the former Florida pick, and Jake Curhan on the offensive line versus, some of the, what was I going to say, James Houston, all these other interior guys, and Aiden Hutchinson, of course. So before I get to the Detroit one, have some faith in Wilson.
Ha!
Good God,
What faith? None.
Good God, Angry John bashing the Jets again.
Yeah, because they're gonna get it wrong. I don't know what you need to see from Zach Wilson, but I see a whole lot of nonsense.
Raf says NBC got Dolphins, and I put the link up in the chat, by the way. So if you want to scroll up, subscribe to Raf's channel. NBC got Dolphins, Patriots, and ESPN's got 2 games tomorrow. Yeah, that's the doubleheader they have at the same time, though. So it's
that Monday night. It's the Saints, Panthers, and the Browns, Steelers for anyone who is interested for Monday night tomorrow night.
Right. So storyline H. There's a couple we could go with here. Taylor Decker's not playing, so that's going to force someone else in that role. My guess is probably Matt Nelson, who is a rotational / backup tackle in this league. More carries for Jahmyr Gibbs. We saw last week a lot of the people that depended on him. David Montgomery took up most of the carries. Is Jahmyr Gibbs going to get more against the Seahawks defense? And CJ Gardner-Johnson has an interesting trend out there. It's where Amazon has sold out of blue ski masks. Now, I disappeared for a little bit during the Chiefs preview because I was looking for my ski mask and I was going to do it, the preview in my ski mask, but I couldn't find it. Now, what I could do is I could be a clown and zip this up and act like it's a ski mask, but I'm not going to do that, But
are you hopping on the Lions bandwagon? Are you becoming a Lions fan?
No, I just listen.
Well, I think being blown out 40-0 was too much for him.
Hey, Luca. Guess what? Zach Wilson's your quarterback. Okay.
No.
Wow.
JD says have faith, Alex. What are you talking about?
Thank you for stating the obvious, Alex. I know that already.
You're welcome. And plus, if we don't win today, that's when I'll go off. But Wilson looked better than last year, but his decision-making is still bad. And his ball placement is some of the worst in the league. It's very hard for him to put a receiver on the spot.
He has a shit ton to prove in such a big spot.
Not to mention his footwork's horrible. He does not read defenses well. And should I go on or like?
I think that's good.
Do we get the point? Okay. I was just making sure. Go ahead, Alex.
I think the point's been illustrated. Yes.
All right, I just wanted to make sure.
Here's the injury report for the Lions and the Seahawks. The Seahawks, Mike Morris is out. He's a defensive end. Boye Mafe is questionable. If anyone wants to do a quick look up, maybe Luca, because I know Ian Rappaport sometimes will come out with this guy is going to play, this guy's not going to play. Charles Cross mentioned he's out. Jamal Adams, he's out. And Devin Bush is questionable, which he would be key in stopping that run game. But also, if you guys don't remember, they have Bobby Wagner again. So Detroit, Khalil Dorsey, he's out with an illness. Emmanuel Mosley, he's out again with a knee and a hamstring injury. Joshua Paschal, he did not practice on Friday, and he is out with a knee injury. Taylor Decker is doubtful, did not practice all week with the injury. And then Frank Ragnow is going to play, a little bit of a toe injury, but he's going to play. So he's fine in that note. Now, top performers, I'm going to go with Seattle first. And these aren't necessarily just top performers, just notable performances. Geno Smith, 16 of 26 in a touchdown. He was sacked twice. He was hit 7 times. Do you guys want to guess how many yards he had, passing-wise?
I don't remember.
Take a stab in the dark.
175.
Geno Smith.
175. Throwing out a guess.
Oh, I think I actually know this one. I'm going to go like 112.
Luca hit it right on the money.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Against the Rams last week.
That's something like 3-4 yards per pass or something like that. By the way, I do want to shout out Barbara. I do want to shout out Mac, the Giants fan. So if you guys haven't already, I put the link in the chat. Subscribe to Mac's channel. Get some awesome stuff over there with Mr. Adam Costas and the rest of them over there. Lions 24, Hawks 21. Okay, I thought the little low scoring than I would predict, but again, we'll move on. Also, I think Almighty said he has the Seahawks winning, but Geno Smith, yeah, he has sacked twice, hit 7 times. This guy, he's coming off being paid a huge amount of money. So Kenneth Walker, 12 carries, 64 yards. I mean, that's good, but he didn't get a touchdown, so it wasn't really impactful. And I guess at the time, the Rams were already running away with the game, so you really couldn't go to a running game. And DK Metcalf, 3 receptions, 47 yards. Now, you look at the Lions versus Kansas City, you had a lot of standouts. Jared Goff, 22 of 35, 1 touchdown, 253 yards. Now, here's another record he could break. Now, I don't think he'll break it this game because he's not going to be he's not going to be passing as much. He is 44 passes away, completed passes. I think it's completed passes or pass attempts from breaking a Lions record in a span of not throwing an interception. I don't know when his last interception was, but
I can take a look at that.
Time.
We'll go look at the.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. John.
The research.
Jahmyr Gibbs, 7 carries, 42 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 6 receptions, 71 yards and a touchdown. One of the more noticeable receivers, but not talked about too much. Josh Reynolds, 4 receptions, 80 yards last week. Brian Branch was hurt, but also had an impactful play on the pick 6, 3 tackles and a pass deflection. And then Aiden Hutchinson, who did not get a sack, but he got 3 quarterback hits, 4 quarterback pressures, and 4 total tackles. So I expect him today to take advantage of the mismatch that the Seahawks have at tackle. Now, of course, this is only 1 week, but let's talk about the stats. Passing offense, 29th for the Seahawks, 22nd in rushing, 27th points. Passing defense, 31st. So they were next to the worst. I don't know who is 32nd. 15th against the run and 27th in terms of points defense scoring.
I got the last time he's thrown a pick.
Okay.
Last time Jared Goff threw a pick, November 6th of last year against the Green Bay Packers. November 6th. So that's pretty impressive.
I don't know if you guys mentioned it. There was some sort of like record he's close to.
Yeah. It was the one with he's like 44 attempts away from breaking a record without throwing an interception.
Yeah, and I just said remember last time he's thrown a pick, November 6th against the Packers last year. So that's hold up. Let's count how many games really quickly. Let's do the math, people. Let's do the math.
And John just wanted to do math.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plus this year's game. 10 games he hasn't thrown a pick. Regular season games.
Right. Kyler says, if that right side of the O-line doesn't show up again, someone needs to get fired immediately. Complete agreement, man. Complete agreement. Or someone needs to be benched. I think that's one of 2 things that needs to happen. But back to the Lions. They're 6th in passing offense, 9th in rushing offense, 13th in points, 24th against the pass, 12th against the run, 14th in points/scoring defense. Top matchups. I'm looking at Aiden. Actually, you know what? Let me go position battles first before I go top matchups. Let's change it up a little bit. Quarterback. I'm going to go Detroit. I know Geno Smith had a big year last year. I think Jared Goff is a precision passer in this league, and he's still underrated by a lot. Running back, I'm going to go Seattle for right now. I think they got a very good backfield. Montgomery and Gibbs showed us some stuff last week, but Kenneth Walker, Jacques Charbonnet, a couple other guys they have back there. It's a really good backfield. Wide receivers, I'm still going to go ahead and lean Seattle, DK Metcalf, JSN, and Tyler Lockett. Tight end Seattle, it's not necessarily much of like, oh my God, it's talent against talent, because it's really not. Colby Parkinson, Noah Fant, and Will Dissly. Dissly's been there for years. He was Russell Wilson's security blanket. But again, I'll lean them a little bit. Offensive line has to go to Detroit. I mean, they have one of the best units in the league, in my opinion. As far as the defensive line in the battle of the trenches, I'm going to go ahead and say Detroit again, because Aiden Hutchinson, Josh Paschal, James Houston came on last year, had a really big few games. I think their interior is also solid. Inside linebackers, it's tough for me because Alex Anzalone, since he's come over, he used to be just a special teamer and a rotational linebacker with the Saints, but the way he's come over, Jack Campbell, the rookie, had some impressive plays last week. Derek Barnes and Malcolm Rodriguez factoring in as well. So they've spent some draft capital with that linebacker position. In terms of the linebacker role, you do have Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks. I'm sorry, I'm still going to lean Detroit here. In terms of the secondary, though, on paper, now they didn't show up last week. I'm going to go Seattle. Kobe Bryant's on IR, so we can't really talk about him. Tariq Woolen is there. I don't know the status on Devon Witherspoon. They also got Kyle Blue Kelly, who they got off waivers from Baltimore, and Michael Jackson. No, not the singer. And then you got some solid safeties in Quandre Diggs and someone who I know very well in Julian Love. So I'm going to go there. And then special teams, I'm actually going to lean towards the Seahawks because I really like Michael Dixon as a punter, and Jason Myers, who you guys know, is not necessarily all for accuracy, but he's a pretty deep kicker. Kick from 58, kick from this, that, and the other thing. But we do have some fantasy questions in the chat. PPR start 2, Tyler Algier, James Cook, Joshua Kelly, Damian Pierce.
I'm gonna say to start Kelly, number 1. I know he's got a tougher opponent, but I just like him better for this week. And I'd say you can start Algier over Cook and Pierce, or I'd still say start Algier. Just I don't know about Damian Pierce, how he's coming back from his injury. So a lot of people forget that it's not easy to come back off an ACL or an Achilles or any lower body injury with your running backs. So, and I know Algier is going to split with Bijan, but remember, he'll get his fair share of touches with no Austin Eckler. A lot of the game is going to Josh Kelly, who actually did very well in week 1, even with Austin Eckler. Let's not forget that. I know the Titans do have a good run defense, but I'd rather start that over James Cook and Damian Pierce in my league. Said Cook and Algier. Well, I know the Raiders don't have the best defense, but I mean, if you want to go Cook, you could. But I just think there's a higher ceiling with Kelly, in my opinion.
I would say so as well. Dylan says, what team do we like better this week?
Full PPR. All right. So, Anthony. So, okay.
Anthony
Team
Richardson.
1. Okay.
Yeah,
Richardson, Pollard, Cook, Diggs.
I want to say it's Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas. Okay. Andrews and Hopkins is his flex. Okay. And the Giants defense. Then he's got Dak, CMC, Pierce, DK, Judy, Freiermuth, McLaurin, the Dallas defense. All right, you got to give me a second to break that all down. I would say,
as John breaks it down, I do want to get to another comment. Barbara says that I have Bijan too. Cook and Bijan will probably lose again. And from Twitch, Drunk Stormtrooper says, "Hey, what's up, Drunk Stormtrooper? Love the name."
I would. Ooh, this is actually a little closer. I lean toward Team 2. I like Team 2 a little bit better. I really think McCaffrey's the best running back in football right now. So he could easily give you 30 plus points. Just like that. DK's got very good potential to go off. I think this is going to be a high scoring game, the one we're previewing right now. And remember, Zach Wilson's the quarterback for the Jets, and they don't have the best offensive line. So expect Dallas to get a turnover or 2.
Right. My thing with I'm not going to go into a Jets preview because there's no need. But my thing is when Dallas is going to key on the running game. I'm sure they're expecting it, but when they're going to key in on it is my question.
Yeah.
Giants will win, believe it. As long as Giants win, I'm happy. Also, once again, just a shout out, by the way, after our game previews with this one as well, and then we got the fantasy stardom sit-em, and then we could mix picks with, of course, like the betting odds, because that's obviously our final segment, of course. Start Sam Laporta or no? I'm going to say, who are your other options? Because how much did Laporta?
Yeah, I would like to know your other options, unless that's your only title.
Unfortunately, that says a lot of what we think of Sam Laporta. I'm not saying he's bad, but, let's see. Laporta last week, he was the third leading receiver at 39 yards. So,
Kelsey.
I don't know what Almighty's team looks like, but Kelsey, Laporta.
It's I want to Almighty. If you can, who are your other options?
Hayden Hurst.
I'd rather start Hayden Hurst.
DJ Chark is playing. Adam Thielen is playing.
I always like tight ends with rookie quarterbacks. I feel like there
was always a security blanket.
Yeah, I always do like that. I'm going to lean with Hayden Hurst.
Okay. All right. So, just went over that. Top matchups. Mentioned a little earlier, I'm looking at Aiden Hutchinson versus Jake Curhan. It could be opposite, of course, but Hutchinson, I'm really looking forward to get his first sack this week against Jake Curhan, or whether he goes up against Stone Forsythe. I still think it's an absolute win for Aiden Hutchinson. I'm really looking for James Houston to impact this game as well. He was a guy last year that came on, was an undrafted free agent, may have been a late round pick, so I might be mistaken on that, but nonetheless, had I think 6 to 8 sacks last season. Was a guy that nobody was expecting to come on the scene. They were expecting a little bit more out of Josh Paschal, who's not going to play this game. But I'm expecting for that Lions defense to really kick in. I don't think they'll need to blitz as much. Obviously, there's some injuries on the offensive line, as duly noted. But I don't think Aaron Glenn's going to need to blitz as much this game. This one is really interesting. Nobody's talking about it. Now, this obviously could go against Josh Reynolds, but Tariq Woolen versus Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think that's a matchup you got to look for. Now you move into safeties and tight ends. Will Disley versus Brian Branch. Branch had a wonderful game last week. Unless they mix up him against somebody else, which is very much possible. And then someone talked about Sam Laporta. I'm looking at Julian Love versus Sam Laporta. Love has been solid in his career in coverage. It's not been great. It's not been fantastic. He's not been bad either. But I'm looking at that matchup. So before we go into our predictions, do you guys have any thoughts on this game? I'll start with Luca.
I think, in my opinion, it's going to come down to the ground game for both teams, but I think Jared Goff's a little bit of a stronger passer than Geno Smith is. So I think I know I've seen it in props somewhere, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, I expect to have a big game.
John?
Well, the one thing I'll say for the Lions is you know what? Their staff has been so underrated. Obviously, not just their coach, their GM has hit on a lot of picks for them. You look at some of the players they have on this team. Let's start, you start on that offensive line. Big loss, there's no Decker today. That's going to be a huge hole at left tackle because he is a very solid one. But Frank Ragnow has been a really solid center. I really like the Penei Sewell pick. It's really worked out for them on the right side. A kid coming out of Oregon who was a monster and a freak, but he's just been everything they've asked for and more. So really good hit on that one. Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown, we mentioned him against Woolen. That's going to be a really good matchup. But even guys like, Goff, we mentioned him as a precision passer, and we saw it in that Kansas City game. Even guys like Josh Reynolds had a solid game. You have and I know maybe Marvin Jones steps up or Laporta breaks out. It's very possible that could happen. But even, look at some of these other guys on the roster. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson, their best player on defense. They found Aleem McNeil as a rookie last year, either last year or 2 years ago, and he had a solid year. Alex Anzalone, another guy that I'm high on this season. Malcolm Rodriguez is a late mid-round pick. Jack Campbell they took in the first round. Brian Branch had a pick 6 his first game, although it was one of the easiest of his career. You bring in CJ Gardner-Johnson, he's going to be a big help. So they've really acquired a lot of talent on this team, and they're going to be, and that's why a lot of people were high on them. And you look at what the Seahawks have, right? They were kind of I'd say they were one of the bigger surprise teams last year, and like Alex said, they got punched in the mouth last week. Okay. They really did. And it's can Geno reprove what he produced last season? Obviously their left tackle, Charles Cross, is out, as we mentioned earlier. But you look at them on defense, how they're going to try and slow down this offense, they got a good solid linebacker core. Obviously, the veteran Bobby Wagner's been there for years. Really good side-to-side tackler, just a very smart signal caller and their leader on defense. Jordan Brooks, another guy that people like out there. Obviously, we mentioned the corner position with Devin Witherspoon, and I like Tariq Woolen a lot. But it is going to be a tough task for them to stop St. Brown and the rest of these guys on the Lions. As if you don't know, if you want to get to the comments here.
Yeah, of course. Kyler says, we're not fair. We're playing the 49ers on a short week. We always get screwed with the schedule. Yeah, it's not an easy one. So the Giants need to win today. I have Waller. I'm a diehard. I think Laporta is going to be top 3 this season at the position. Okay, that's a confidence one right there. My team is Burrow, Hall, Najee, Tyreek Hill. Oh, that's a good one. Garrett Wilson, Sam Laporta, T. Higgins is starting, and the kicker is McPherson. So most of your lineup is Cincinnati Bengals, but
yeah,
Breece Hall is a good pick, though, I will say. But moving on, of course, let's get to our predictions. I believe I'm in the red font. And then, of course, you guys will add in 2. I'm going to say Jared Goff is the leading passer at 234 yards.
Okay.
Touchdowns, you know what? Give me a touchdown for Mr. Goff here. Thank you, John.
All right. I got Jared Goff here too. 240 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Okay. All right. Luca?
Jared Goff, I'm going to go 280 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Okay. Li says, by the way, shout out to Li. If the Giants lose the Cardinals, I'm going to say the season might be over because the offensive line sucks. Depends why they lose, but I mean, the season would get close to over. And you guys know that I'm not pessimistic, but if we don't beat the Cardinals, Cardinals won't be able to score. If we do half decent offense, we'll win. I mean, I need to learn something from this game, but will I? I don't know. Leading rusher, I'm going to go Kenneth Walker, 87 yards.
I hope that's correct because I have him on my fantasy team. David Montgomery, I'm going with 65 yards and a touchdown.
Luca?
I've got Montgomery. I think he's going to go for 85.
Ooh.
And a touchdown.
Leading receiver, I'm going to go on Monra St. Brown, 113 yards.
I got him capped at 70 yards today.
I'm going to go 95 yards for Brown and a touchdown.
Okay. Why the fuck would we lose to the Cardinals? I mean, if they, I hope not, man. I mean, there's a lot of things that could come into play, but maybe the Cardinals will decide that they don't want to win today, hopefully. Giants really need to show up today. Yeah, they didn't show up last week, so they got to show up this week. Double. I love Goff. He's a junior Burrow. I wish Giants could play more like him from the pocket, but that O-line, yeah, I mean, you know, you can't have the Giants' offensive line stinks, at least the right side, but I don't know that would go as far as call Goff a junior Burrow because Joe Burrow is in his own tier. But lead tackler, I'm going to go with the former Purdue edge product, Derek Barnes, at 8.
I'm going bold on this one. Bobby Wagner is going to get 15 tackles today. Monster.
I'm going Derek Barnes as well. I think he gets 7.
Are you trying to one-up me?
No.
Here we go again.
I can only do the undercutting. But anyway. Lead sacker, I'm going to say Aiden Hutchinson gets at 1.5.
I'm going with the linebacker, Alex Anzalone, 1 sack today.
Okay.
I actually picked Aleem McNeil. Aleem McNeil to get 1 sack.
We've been only trying to rebuild the offensive line for the Giants for the last 10 years. Yeah.
It might take you another 10 years.
Might take us another 10 years. Who knows? But no, man. I mean, they need to get their shit together today. And maybe we'll have a quick comment like when we're doing game picks about our local teams. I know, obviously, we didn't have a bona fide preview this week with the Monday Night Football game. So let's go final score. I got Detroit winning 27-17, 1 pride.
I got Detroit winning 26-20.
I've got Detroit. I'm going to go 27-17.
It's the first
time.
You know
what? Let me change that. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go 30-17.
Oh.
So 2 things to remark there. You almost went on my pick. Number 2, they're giving up 30 points for the second straight week. So that would be bad. But if they do, of course.
I don't think the defense is as good as everybody thinks.
Yeah, I mean, you know what we're talking about here. You don't get it anywhere else. But I was going to say something, crossed my mind, left through the other ear. Any final thoughts on this game?
I think it's another real test for the Lions. Obviously, had a huge win against the Chiefs. But I think we got to, let's slow down. Remember, Seahawks were a playoff team last year. Let's see how the Lions, handle not adversity, but how they handle starting to be deemed as a good team. Let's see how they handle pressure.
Expectations.
That's right.
Okay.
My final thoughts: expect Jared Goff to have a hell of a game through the air.
Eli, we have no guards at right tackle, which probably would be a right guard. And if Andrew Thomas is out, Daniel Jones is going to get speared. Yeah, no, I agree, Li. But I mean, if they run I'm not scared of their edge rushers, but if they let that get to them, it just shows how much worry we have. I think Matt Parrott's going to start a left tackle, which I don't want. I would rather Josh Azudu, but that's a whole. I expect Josh Azudu to play in some capacity because if they rotate him in, I'm going to be sick. So let's go with Angry John's. Unfortunately I didn't make a graphic for today, so you know what? Let me check myself off on that one. Hold on, give me 1 second. But I do want to get into Mr. Angry John's stardom situm. So John, if you want to pull it up. Well, I mean, not pull it up, but
Yeah, so I'll announce it. All right. Well, here we are again. Not the hottest week last week. Obviously, week one's probably the most hard week out there. But we'll start with quarterback. First guy I'm targeting, Mac Jones, right? Remember last week, Jones was, Pats were down 16-0 against the Eagles after that first quarter, and it didn't look good at first. Despite that, Jones had 300 passing yards against the Eagles defense, averaged 5.8 yards per attempt. He's starting to develop a good connection with Kendrick Bourne. Looked out there. And remind you, this game, like a lot of the games on the East Coast were in rainy conditions. So and the fact that he was so efficient too, 35 of 54 attempts, 3 TDs to go in there, like that's going to be like, and I know the Dolphins have a high flying offense, but their defense is really suspect. Their defense was awful last week to the Chargers. So I expect Mac Jones to have a solid game tonight. And I mean, we'll get into the picks later, but I think there's going to be a bad matchup for Miami all around. Next guy I'm sitting on, and it doesn't pain me it sort of does because I do have him on a fantasy team. It's going to pain Alex the most. I'm not so high on Daniel Jones right now. I understand he's got a great matchup. Don't get me wrong. But I just like it. It was just so worrying to see how bad the Giants offense was against week one. Their offensive line scares me. Barkley didn't have the best game. And I'm just like, let's hold off on the Giants until they prove otherwise. This could be the right game where it's like, hey, I might be completely wrong here. And they might, Daniel Jones might throw 300 yards, 3 touchdowns against a terrible Arizona team. But Arizona did play up to their competition against Washington. Now, I don't know what that says, whether Washington's that bad or Arizona's not as bad as we thought. But I don't know if Daniel Jones is going to have the best game out there today. And it was just worrying to see what he really was against the Cowboys. Obviously, the Cowboys are much better than the Cardinals. Now we move on to the running backs. Here's a guy that I really like targeting, and he's been brought up in a few fantasy questions this week. Josh Kelly. First off, no Austin Eckler on the shelf today with an injury. And as the backup last week, he had 16 carries for 91 yards. And the Chargers total gained 236 yards on the ground, despite the loss. So they are going to look to run the football, even if they're in a passing situation. But nevertheless, Kelly proved he can play with Eckler. And now that there's no Eckler, that's going to be pretty good. You guys can pick this guy up. Also, the other 2 running backs, Elijah Dotson and Isaiah Spiller on the roster, they only have a career total of 54 snaps combined. So it looks like Kelly is going to get majority of the work for them. Here's a running back that I'm not really high on, and I was shocked that a lot of people were to start the year, but I think people are starting to see it. And that's Cam Akers. Akers, he had 22 carries, but he only had 29 yards. And the only reason why he was somewhat valuable with 11 points last week because he found the end zone for a touchdown. But their second year back, Kyron Williams, is more effective than him. He had more yards per carry. So I could honestly see if Akers doesn't get it going, because remember, he had problems with them in past. I could see them going to more with a Kyron Williams route. 15 carries, 52 yards. I believe he had 2 touchdowns last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Kyron Williams is. I mean, I've loved Kyron Williams ever
Mhm.
since Notre Dame because
Yeah.
obviously I have that inside track. But
Yeah. And
I like over the past few years, I never really thought that Akers was that special. I'm gonna be
Right.
honest. So
and again, Akers, 2 things: 1.3 yards per carry,
you said he had 20. I'm sorry, you said he had 22 yards, 22
29 yards
carries?
on 22 carries. So that's 1.3 yards
He's
per
not.
carry.
He's not a bell cow. That's the
Yikes.
problem. He's not a bell cow.
And the worst part is they're going against the Niners. Did we not see what the Niners did to the Steelers last week?
Dismantled
Like,
them.
They just tore them apart. They absolutely destroyed them.
They ate their
Um,
lunch.
Yeah, pretty much. Here's a wideout that I really do like. And, some people might disagree with this, but this is more the Mac Jones effect. I like Kendrick Bourne. Target 11 times last week, 64 yards, and he had 2 touchdowns against the Eagles. And we all know the Eagles have a really good defense. Imagine what he can do against Miami. Now, there was some another reason I like him. There were some questions this week. I don't know the injury status off the top of my head, but Tyquan Thornton was banged up. Devontae Parker was banged up. So, again, if Bourne's the most healthy out there and Mac Jones has the best connection with him, target him. Kendrick Bourne is a solid guy, and he might be having a good connection with Mac Jones. So I like Kendrick Bourne, especially against a weak secondary against the Dolphins. And that's the guy I would target or start. Here's a guy that this might get some controversy. He's a stud receiver. You should be starting him almost every week. But I honestly don't like his matchup this week. And it really scares me. And I think the Bengals will bounce back, but I'm not sure about T. Higgins.
I traded him.
Right, Luca even traded him. But, he only had 3 first-half targets, when the game was still a contest last week. Yeah, I know it was crappy conditions. Burr only finished with 82 yards. Now, I know Higgins is a 1,000-yard receiver, but the Ravens still have a really good defense. Put a guy like Marlon Humphrey on him. I know they got Chase too, so one of those guys could hit. One of those guys could really flop. But I don't know if Higgins will bounce back this week. The Ravens always play them tough, and I could be really right on this. I could be really wrong, but I'm just not. It's kind of like more of the Giants thing. I want to see it before I start starting them again.
Yeah.
Which I know you should be starting Higgins every week. It's crazy that I said that. But nevertheless, we look at the tight end group, and one guy I actually do like, the Mr. Zach Ertz against the Giants. Now, the reason I like him is because week 1, I know he only had 21 yards, but he had 10 targets, caught 6 of them, and he's probably going to be their best receiver of guys, of whether it's Josh Dobbs or whoever's starting at quarterback for them. It doesn't really matter. Right, no, but I'm simply just saying because, again, tight ends are really good safety blankets. And I know that there's some talk about Trey McBride getting into it, his cutting into his time, but McBride, it's not like it's not like he's going to outplay Zach Ertz right away. So again, it's going to be a real interesting to see with Zach Ertz and how he does. But he's a guy, if you need some tight end help, he can go, be, or some depth. He can be someone you pick up. And again, this is the same thing with Daniel Jones. I'm not sold on Darren Waller because you know what? He had he was banged up a little this week. Some people were saying it's even like a nerve issue that stemmed from last year, which kind of scares me a little. I don't know. Alex is saying timeout because I know what he's going to say. Go ahead.
Oh, I thought you were going to finish.
No, go ahead. You're calling timeout.
Well, there's a couple of things I do want to input because it does concern my game. Ertz is playing us today. He's part of the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
So I obviously agree with you that Zach Ertz, as I covered in my pre-show, that he's probably going to be one of the more targeted guys. Just said 10 targets last week. Didn't get too many yards. I think it was like
21. Yeah,
21. I mean that's not good. So I will. It'll be interesting to see. Waller, I'm like half and half on your opinion because I get it. Like the Giants didn't do absolute garbage. They didn't do shit last week. Okay, I obviously had to sit through that game as many other people did, but my thing is this. If Buda Baker's, and there's a lot of things to key in on this game. Now, of course, people want to see proven and all this other stuff. Hollywood Brown is playing almighty. Buda Baker was added to the injury report late. Now, people can say, oh, he's questionable. That means he's likely to play, whatnot. They elevated a safety off the practice squad. They signed him to the active roster. And even in that situation, if Buda Baker does play, he's not going to be 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to be covering the tight end? And he gave up probably the most yards out of any corner/safety last week or linebacker out of the Cardinals. Now, of course, they only gave up 20 points. That's fine and well. So it's, in my opinion, it's not as much of a gimme as most people would say on one side of the ball or the other. I think it's 50-50. I think it's either you're on a side that says, I don't trust the Giants, I don't trust their offense, or it's Darren Waller could definitely have a big day against some of these linebackers and safeties.
That could be. I see more of a low scoring game.
I do too.
Here, I think that's it. But I still can see Ertz getting a touchdown today. I can very well see that. Nevertheless, we'll go to the defense. Here's one defense I really liked. And it's probably too late to pick them up now. Cleveland Browns. They jumped up 19%, 19.5% in ESPN leagues of being picked up this week. And they were really such a hard-nosed defense against the Bengals. Those corners did such an excellent job, whether it was Denzel Ward, Newsome, Emerson, and they really shut down a high-flying offense with the Bengals. They were the lowest net yards per attempt of anyone in the National Football League last week. So kudos to them. And they get an offense in the Steelers who they were one of the worst offenses in the league last week. I mean, I know they faced the Niners, don't get me wrong, but they could barely move the ball. Like they were straight 3 and out with them. So really tough to they were real stingy last week, and I accidentally did mix it up in the doc. So if you are confused, you too. But the defense, I'm not so high on, and I think it's a bit of more so the team in general. I don't know why, but the Denver Broncos, I'm not like they should be really good, but
puzzling.
They're very puzzling because they allowed the 5th most passing yards per attempt against the Raiders.
It's Jimmy G.
Right. So
players.
Right. And I know Sam Howell in Washington is like nothing scary, but if we're not stopping the Raiders, what are we going to do when we should beat a team? I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. The Broncos did not look good. Kind of scared to start. I have Cortland Sutton, kind of scared to start any of their players right now because it's kind of a wait and see. But I wouldn't trust that. And if you guys need kicker, remember my kicker last week that I picked, Nick Folk, who was the most of anyone. So I know kickers. But Cameron Dicker, expect him to have a really solid game. And the kicker I'm not sold on, Brett Maher. That's the guy I am selling on for kickers. If you guys have any questions with fantasy, you guys can definitely throw it in the chat. I don't mind helping out fantasy teams. Almighty says,
I got the Saints defense on one of my leagues.
He says, I like the Panthers defense. The Panthers are against, who are they today?
Saints. Monday Night Football.
The Saints, yeah. Yeah, that I could see why, yeah.
This is Brooklyn Dodgers, of course. But
really?
Any final thoughts? Any final thoughts on the fantasy note? I mean, of course, the chat can ask questions and all that sort of stuff.
Good luck with everyone. Good luck to your teams. I lost last week in my main league by 8 points because there was, a certain defense that didn't really help me. Jamar Chase kind of also sold for me, but we're going to bounce back against Luca's team this week. I don't care that he did so well Thursday night.
I don't know about that. Let's see who I think will have a big game in our matchup. Just going to go through it real quick. Geno Smith, that's going to be like very so-so. Let's see. Brian Robinson versus Broncos, Miles Sanders. I don't know. It's going to be a competitive game, John. I'll just say that because TJ Hawkinson had a really good game.
He did. No, he tore up. Damn Vikings, man. Damn you, Minnesota.
I just hope Justin Herbert struggles this week against the Titans.
No, we don't hope that. We encourage greatness. You know, why are you trying to break on a man's spirit? Don't disrespect Herbert.
No, it's not disrespecting him. It's just talking about how vaunted the Titans defense
Let
is.
the record show that Luca's being disrespectful.
But let me see if I have any critical fantasy questions to ask.
Sure.
I do have obviously qualms about my prop bets and all, but that's for the next
Golf
segment.
or Burrow for this week, John?
What happened?
Golf or Burrow? Golf plays Seattle.
I'm leading Goff.
Burrow plays Baltimore.
Goff. I love Burrow better. You know how much I love Joe Burrow. But Goff, I like his matchup a lot better. The secondary in Seattle and the linebackers are good, but I feel like there's just too much on offense where, you know, Goff, like we said, hasn't thrown a pick since November 6th. He's a really good pass, and he throws a beautiful deep ball. I don't think people realize that, but he does.
That question is, John, do I go for the Commanders defense or the Lions defense? I think I'm sticking with the Commanders for now.
Yeah, I like the Commanders defense this week just because Russell Wilson did not look that solid. He really didn't last week. And that's like scary. I'm like, oh, I mean, I know it's one game with Sean Payton, but
I forget who they play this. I forget who they play this week. Would
Oh,
you
God damn it.
What?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just realized I'm playing against Alex in one of my leagues, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's my starting quarterback happens to be Justin Herbert.
Ha! He do want to
So
do
it's like a half win, half lose.
It's all right.
But
come on, you hate your brother more than me.
Don't do that, John. Don't do that.
John,
Don't do
turning
that.
people against each other.
Yeah, clown. That's clown behavior. Fuck out of here with that shit. Now would you put the Cleveland is playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm gonna lean this guy, not the guy I just mentioned. Would you put Kendrick Bourne in over Pickens?
Wait, what happened? I'm sorry. You said Bourne over Pickens.
Yes.
I really do like George Pickens. How did he do?
He did. He played like shit. Well, that's what happens when your quarterback
start Kendrick Bourne.
Picks.
Start Kendrick Bourne. The Browns secondary is elite. Like their coverage skills last week were unbelievable. Because I did watch a good majority of that game because I was interested.
Right.
But their coverage skills were fantastic all over the field. So I would say start Kendrick Bourne as starts Jason Bourne. That's a good one.
Jesus Christ, Jason Bourne. Jonathan Johnson's hurt, I think, right?
Does he have a hamstring? He
I
might have
he
like
did.
a hammy.
I don't
He
know
might have
the
a
update
hammy
on him,
injury.
but I thought he did.
Because I remember Antonio Brown tweeted, sounds like the Pittsburgh Steelers need
Out.
a wide receiver.
Oh my
He's out.
God. What
He's
is he
out.
doing nowadays? Is he breaking some more laws?
Doing something, man.
Johnson is out with a hammy injury. They don't really have a timeline, so that's not exactly good.
Yeah, it's not good for them.
All right. You guys want to go into your betting corner, then we'll finish up with game picks?
Sure. Luca, would you like me to go first, or do you want to go?
I'm actually gonna share mine first because I'm just curious. Obviously, you're the more of the betting expert than I do.
I'm not an expert. Do not
No,
proclaim me
no.
as an expert. I just know the numbers.
Now you know the numbers better than I do. So I did my top 5 bets. I mean, I don't have a parlay. I mean, I do have my prop bets, which I'm gonna have 5 today. Hopefully, I win that $100 that I should have won last week. Fuck you, Justin Fields. My spread for the week, and we've actually did this through the predictions. I'm taking KC -3. I think it's going to be a shootout, but I don't think it's going to be close when it's decided by a field goal. That's my personal opinion. I'm taking Kansas City -3. Money line. It's interesting because this is like a game. It's a bounce. It could be a bounce back game for one team, but it also could be it could also be a very good one for another. This is Chicago versus Tampa Bay. I'm curious to take Chicago on the money line here. It's like one of those underdogs. So I'm saying Chicago plus 125. Again, Justin Fields has to have a better day. Defense has to have a better day as well. I'm afraid that Rachaad White's going to run all over that defense. My over-unders, I'm doing Washington versus Denver. Over-under 38.5. I'm going to go with the under because these are 2 low-scoring offenses, and I think they're 2 very good defenses. Player prop, I have underdog when it comes to my fantasy and all my picks and stuff, prop bets, all that shit. There's two suggested bets for the day, which are obviously like, oh my God, you should pick either or. I can only do either or. Christian McCaffrey over half a yard or Tua over 271 and a half. And what do you think is the obvious? Christian McCaffrey over half a yard. So now I'm going to ask John because I'm trying to build my picks. So I obviously did the Christian McCaffrey over half a yard. That's obvious. You think Bijan Robinson gets in the end zone today? Facing Green Bay. Receiving or rushing?
I think Green Bay, I'd say he does once.
Yeah, okay. That's good. Calvin Ridley, I hit the over on his receptions. The number is 6.
Okay.
David Montgomery, over under half rush or receiving touchdowns. I think he'll cash in at least once. David Montgomery for the Lions.
It's possible. I don't know how much of a game Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have or how big his role will be. But before that, shout out to Jets Mess in the chat.
What's up, bro?
Hope everything is well with you.
I'm just trying to find that fifth prop bet because I'm not going to lie to you. I've been very skittish today with my prop bets because Justin Fields let me down big time last week, and I don't want to bet on the Bears.
You only lost by 1 yard.
I lost by 1 yard, but still, like, just that overall.
I know I was correct in my prop bet because I actually had the over on Calvin Ridley's receiving yards.
Let me see. Yeah.
Quick fantasy question, John.
Mm-hmm.
Pat Freiermuth or Mark Andrews?
How did Mark Andrews do last week?
He didn't do anything. He got hurt.
Oh, that's right. Go with Mark Andrews. Freiermuth got banged up last week, and I'm just not a big fan of. Like, I might start Freiermuth in one of my leagues, but it's just a tough matchup against the Browns.
Yeah, thank you. I need that information to beat Luca.
To be fair, I didn't know he was playing against you. Like in this league.
I understand. Well, it's all good, John. I'm just trying to find my. What the fuck's so funny?
No, Lucas, I love. He's like, I got the ammunition ready. I'm gonna kick his ass.
So, let me ask you this because I was just looking. I'm looking through more prop bets. Now we talked about the Colts Texans game, which John previewed. You think Anthony Richardson hits the over with passing yards?
What's
He's
it
projected
at?
like. I want to say it's like 190.
I think so. Or I got a weird feeling it's going to go. I don't think this game's going to be so high offense. Like, I think Stroud's going to get the more passing yards. I'd say hold off on that.
And then there's Emmanuel Wilson. I don't know how far he is on the depth chart for the Green Bay Packers because obviously A.J. Dillon's going to get more of the reps. His over-under is 21.5 rushing yards. I don't really believe he's going to get that. So I might as well bet the under.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. We'll hit the lower on that. And please, God, let me win my $100 that I should have won last week. Or I could bet 10 and hit 200. You never know.
Yeah, you could. You very well could.
So is that your betting corner, Luca?
Yes, it is.
All right, John.
All right.
Actually, real quickly, I want to get to the comments. I don't care what anyone says. If we lose the Cardinals, I'm shutting down Daniel Jones, Waller, Thomas, trading Williams, Jackson, and Barkley to the deadline. And I'm tanking for the number 1 pick and get a haul back to fill these holes. Well, I will say this, and I'm not going to go into this discussion. First of all, I'm not a guy who likes to tank, so that's number 1. Richardson is not banged. Richardson, there were thoughts about him being banged up. He's going to play.
No.
If we get the number 1 pick, it has to do something with the quarterback. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
If you get the number 1 pick, quarterback more than likely is your issue. Not the issue, one of the issues. But if you want to trade back, do whatever. I'm not getting into that type of talk, but most of the time it's going to be.
Now, if you tank, don't fuck up the tank like 2020.
Well, I mean, you guys fucked up the tank, not us. But sure.
But then you tried to give me a lecture on how tanking is bad, and we shouldn't have done it.
A lecture.
Yeah,
I'm not going into that. We've already
too extensive. But yeah, John.
All right. For the betting corner today, here's the spread I'm going with. I think is the best. That I think is the best all over the board. the Seahawks at 4.5. Alex mentioned it earlier. What was the score of last year's game?
48-41, I believe.
It was a very high scoring game, which you could also lean the over if you really want to. But the reason I say this is because sometimes we like overreact to week 1 a little. And now I do think the Lions are going to win. But I think it's a much closer game than people think, in my opinion.
48-45, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was my point. 48-45. So last year's game, it was decided by 3. Lions are favored by 4.5. I think the Seahawks can cover again. So that's why I'm going with that. And now we go into my best my money line pick. And I know we just talked about Justin Herbert doing really good. And we pray that he does good. You know, his passing stats, you know, his numbers are always good, actually. Like, there really isn't bad statistical stats about him. That being said, I'm taking the Titans money line at plus 120 today. Do you guys know Justin Herbert's career road record?
It's probably shit.
11-13. 11-13. Okay? Now, I think that doesn't mean Justin Herbert's going to play necessarily bad. I still think he might get some good numbers today. I think the Chargers, you know, they scored a bunch last week, right? But I'm telling you, coaching matters. I know I was wrong on the Titans money line last week. They lost by a point to the Saints. It was a field goal battle, a defensive battle.
If I could just provide a little update, not that it's anything of a surprise, but Bakhtiari, Watson, and Aaron Jones are all out.
Yeah, Falcons are going to win today.
Yes. But nevertheless, in terms of that, coaching matters. Mike Vrabel is a better coach than what's his face, that goofball in
Brandon Staley.
Charger land, Brandon Staley. Did you see some of the penalties they took last week? Did you see some of the unnecessary?
The worst penalty was that close to halftime penalty for J.C.
Like, there's
Jackson.
no discipline on this team. I'm sorry.
First of all, they can't stop a nosebleed. And I was going to, you're talking about the defense. Maybe a potential another set of picks I can make. Over or under half rushing touchdowns for Derrick Henry. I think he hits the over and he gets at least one.
No, that's a very good possibility as well. And look, I get it that, like, obviously they're such a more talented team, right? But I'm telling you, the Titans are definitely,
they're so well coached.
They're so well coached. It's going to be crazy if they somehow beat the Chargers, and when they do.
I mean, they nearly beat the Saints last week. And the Saints' offense wasn't even much to talk about, to be fair. They only scored 16 points.
Right. No, you're right. Here's my total for the day.
Okay.
We kind of mentioned earlier. The Pats and Dolphins line has been firmly at 46.5. Give me the under. Primetime game.
That's
divisional. Fair. You know, last year the Patriots, when they were playing against the division, hit the under 66% of the time.
I mean, their defense is one of the best in football, so there's a reason for that. That's why I didn't bet it. I'm sorry, but that's why I didn't bet any Dolphins players this week. No Tua, no Jalen Waddle, no Tyreek Hill, because, like, they're explosive players, but how much do you capsize it with the defense of the Patriots?
We saw how they went toe-to-toe with Philly last week.
Yes.
They are much better than we expected. Pick the under 46.5 for that. All right, here's my player prop. We hit it last week, and it was in the game preview I did this week. CJ Stroud, over passing yards of 207.5. He gets a really weak secondary with the Colts, and he had a higher amount of passing yards against a tougher secondary last week against the Ravens. Take his over 207.5 yards. All right, it's time for that crazy parlay that people love doing. All right, I'll give you the 3-legger for today. Ready? The Bears covering at a +3.
Okay.
The Bucks are favored by 3, and you know they might be the more talented team, but the Bucks are the Bucks.
You know,
let's not celebrate them.
It's true. It's true. They kept still. I mean, it was impressive that they beat them, that they beat Minnesota last week, but still.
Right. I will ask for everyone's prayer is in one of my main leagues. Baker Mayfield is my starting quarterback.
That's
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. But anywho, that's the first leg. The second leg, under for the Browns-Steelers game, Monday Night Football, 38 41.5, take the under. Two offense that didn't look so great. Again, divisional game, a lot of divisional primetime games hit the under usually. All right, because they see each other. They know their playbooks better in most senses. Mike Tomlin, especially being there for years. What's his face in Cleveland? Oh my God, I'm blanking on the name.
Who you
Coach?
talking about?
The coach.
Stefanski.
Had a few years there. They are familiar with each other. Trust me, take the under for that. And the last leg is a player prop in today's game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Give me Evan Ingram's over 39.5 yards. The Chiefs struggle to cover tight ends. Now, they did a pretty solid job last week, but again, Sam Laporte is a rookie. How much of the Lions didn't use their rookies to their fullest of potential last week. We even saw that with Jahmyr Gibbs.
And Jack Campbell.
And Jack Campbell to an extent, too. He was, more of a rotational guy. They really do struggle to cover. And, the Chiefs do have solid corners, but I think Evan Ingram could be a little bit of a mismatch if used correctly. So those are some of my bets for today. I hope I gave you some good advice for that and fantasy today. As Armin actually just said, the inactives are out. So
for the
anyone that wants to look, go ahead, because you got about an hour and 20 till the first game kicks off at 1 o'clock.
Well, I just want to say this. I'm actually going to have John, thanks to John's little parlay, I'm actually going to build a parlay right now based on those picks.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see if it actually works out. So again, I'm doing this per Bet US, which has done me some favors. Obviously, it was half successful last night. The Bears actually on Bet US are plus 2.5. Steelers under 38.5. That remains the same. I got to find the Evan Ingram one. Evan Ingram. What did you say? 38.5?
30, yeah, something like that. 38, 39.
Okay.
39.5.
Okay.
30. I think he's going to get into more than that. Trust me.
And then they got these anytime bets as well, which are pretty interesting. I've never done an anytime bet either.
I don't really do that, to be honest.
And then whenever you guys are ready, I would say before we could get the New York games kind of out of the way, because I know there's some comments being brought up.
Yeah.
And then go to the other picks in the Book of Wonder.
Can we do the Book of Wonder? Do the Book of
Wonder.
Yes.
But Luca, whenever you're ready.
I'm here.
All right. So I do have a couple of comments here. I do have to address Jess's mess. Are you ready for Zach to shit the bed today?
At 4:30, I want everyone to know I will be home watching this game, be rooting my team on. At some point, you're all going to think in your heads today, man, what is Angry John saying to his television today?
I mean, again,
just think.
I mean, I saw a report recently, John, that Zach Wilson was more vocal in practice this week, and you hope that Aaron Rodgers
is so wonderful.
No. Let me finish. You would hope, again, this is hope. This is the word hope. You would hope that that's going to translate into the game and whatnot. But again, Robert Saleh mentioned pre-game that he said, you know what, for the Jets to win today, there's three things that got to happen: strong defense, running game, and special teams. You need ample quarterback play. And just going to say right now, I'm not going to go into whole preview because there's no sense to. Zach Wilson has to play like a game manager for this team to win. Any of the games.
That's sad, though. That's the expectation.
It's true because the bar is so fucking low.
That's why I have zero hope. Son of a bitch, I broke the pen.
You broke the pen,
cap.
Idiot.
No, I didn't break the pen. It's just I ripped off the...
Staley got hired because of his ties to McVay. Yeah, Chargers.
Yes, he did.
Haven't had a good coach that I can remember.
Yeah.
Belichick made Hurts look bad. So did Flores. Yeah. Go Baker and actives are out. Thoughts on a trade, Baker for Zach Poo? Straight up kind of trade makes sense for both teams. Not really.
No, no, thank you.
No ties to the game, but I love when KC loses. Tampa trying to tank, plus Baker is in their future. Take a waiver on Zach and Jets get an upgrade. Rodgers in his ear. I heard Zach was vocal with the team on how to bag a milk.
My God,
Armin. Go Jets. Beat Dallas. Dak.
Thank you.
Rodgers in
go
his
Jets,
ear.
go.
Yeah, go team, go.
Mm-hmm.
But Do you guys have any thoughts on this game? I know kind of you may have already gone into it, and I know that there's not a
Well,
ton to preview.
like I said, you want my honest opinion. No Aaron Rodgers, no
By the
chance.
way, I'm sorry, John, but we're 20 likes, man. I mean, you guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Good job. You guys did your part today. Just remember, you got to make sure to, when you watch this video, watch it all the way to the end. It really does help us out. And share out, to tell your friends, family, anyone who is interested in sports that you know. We support anyone that will support us. So we do thank you guys for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But John, you were continuing saying?
I have like no hope for this game. Like seriously, like it's their offensive line was horrible in my opinion. I know they played better in the second half, but the tackle spot was atrocious in the pass game. If Breece Hall doesn't run the football effectively, then it's like teams are going to recognize that they're going to stack 8 or 9 in the box against us. They're going to force Zach Wilson to have his dumb throws, which, my God, some of the throws were awful on Monday Night Football, which people don't realize. They're just saying, "Look, hey, he went 9 for 13."
Oh, believe me, John. I heard that same podcast I mentioned on Thursday with that. Again, I'm not going to call these people out because they're known in the community. I'm not trying to start a fight or anything, but it was just pure stupidity what I heard. Oh, that throw to Garrett Wilson wasn't bad.
No, it was awful.
Dude played 2 positions. I have never in my life have ever seen. Let's break it down.
Let me explain. Hold up. Let me please explain something here because I don't think people might not understand this, but the way Garrett Wilson caught that football was incredible. You know why? Because it was a fade route, correct?
Yeah,
Wilson had terrible placement with it. Because what Garrett Wilson had to do, he had to make the adjustment, and not only he had to literally bend his wrist like this. Do you catch a football like this ever? No. So he had to smack it there as he's falling, smack it again to himself, and as he's sitting down, corral it in. So anyone that says that's a good pass doesn't know what you're talking about.
I will say this. Daniel Jones is not the greatest at throwing those. I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
But the way you need to throw that ball is either 50-50 or back shoulder.
Back shoulder over the top, correct.
Back shoulder over the top. That was none of those. Like I remember there was a certain throw.
That's the kind of ball you throw on like a curl route or an in route, because you want the inside position.
Also corner the end zone as well. But the thing was, Garrett Wilson started the play playing in the position of wide receiver. He then transitions to cornerback just to come back to wide receiver.
That's all him.
That was all him. Nobody can convince me that was a good throw. And if you are, you're deluded. You've never seen a football in your life.
No, exactly. We're 100% right on this.
And it's not like, I know John's more of the negative person. No, I shouldn't say negative. I should say pessimistic. Any faith to be fair, John's like Jets Way podcast. And I know the guys there, they're cool and all. Any faith we're putting into Zach Wilson is all blind. Because we know what he is.
Did we not do it? Why is it so revisionist? Like
he got benched for an XFL quarterback last year.
Did we not forget about last year?
Some people do. Some people do. I'm putting my confidence into Zach Wilson, but it's not. It's confidence for the team to win, and him to play average. I'm not saying he has to go out there and play like Aaron fucking Rodgers.
The bar is so low. I do want to shout out Drunk Stormtrooper. He actually made it onto YouTube from Twitch. Hopefully, hit the sub button, pal. But again, thank you for joining us, man. Coming over from Twitch.
Awesome name, by the way.
That's a good one.
But if the Jets can get 2 turnovers, they have a chance to win it. But see, my thing is Zach sucks, plain and simple.
Yeah, that's a great analysis. There you go.
It's
not even just analysis. That's just straight and to the point. That's what Mr. Jets Mess was right there.
And like, here's my thing with the Jets, right? And I can't really analyze last week because I've obviously with the events that happened. So I don't know how the Dallas Cowboys are actually going to play versus the run. But my bet is this, right? They can run it down their throats and then get stopped at a certain point. And maybe they run it down their throats, they get stopped, and they play zone defense, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, you have to worry about Mekhi Becton in your offensive line because it is shit. And I know you guys would agree with me. But I feel like Where Dallas is going to kick in the most is two places. Number one, in the trenches, not even just the run, like in the passing game. Number two, in the red zone. I think the Jets' biggest struggle today will be in the red zone because they could. If it wasn't
very good point.
If it wasn't for that Garrett Wilson, circus catch, they're kicking a fucking field goal on that drive.
And you know what the worst part is? Zerline is hurt, so we might not even get 3 points today. We don't have the automatic Greg the leg.
You gotta just hope for a short field goal. But even then, the bar is that low.
I know, that's sad.
Drunk says, he says, yeah, I came over from Twitch, man. The chat is about, we got a lot of YouTubers, like a YouTube
Almighty switch.
And then Almighty made the switch. So, and then we got Sunil in the chat. We're talking about the game. We got Sunil.
Oh, God.
Brees Hall's injury report during the week.
He knows all the trash talk that we had over the summer was when Aaron Rodgers was in the lineup. He knows that, too.
Missing more like an elementary school kid.
I can't even say anything to Sunil now, damn it.
Yeah.
You got a rep.
I can't even say anything.
You might as well just take the hoodie off.
Number two. I don't have a choice today, do I?
No, you don't
have a choice. I do not have a choice.
Good luck, Luca and taxi driver John. Don't forget to wear your lucky shirt, Luca. I think you have a shot.
Listen, we're just lucky that we have a great defense that can keep us in the game. But for how long?
This game could honestly be 17-3.
Just what? Tomorrow night when we have our show, guys, make sure to watch that too because it's our Monday night show, and we'll probably be recapping the games and watching some Monday Night Football in the background. But all right, you damn well know it was with Aaron Rodgers there. Stop. Come on, Sunil. Don't be a fake one. But anyway, there's gonna be a moment and point today where Luca or Alex will ask me, John, at what point did you turn off the television today? Like, what was the breaking point?
Luca, is there any chance that you're gonna do that?
Turn off the TV? Yeah. It depends. It depends how bad the game is.
6-3. Well, I mean, he's not playing, so it's now.
He's not playing. He's not playing. And despite the fact that he's injured, Rodgers still owns the Cowboys. He does. Let's not lie now.
The last time the Jets lost to the Cowboys was, I believe, 2007.
That's correct. It was Thanksgiving. It was Kellen Clemens versus Tony Romo.
So Evan Roberts wearing a Zach Wilson, where Zach Wilson is a good shirt.
Yeah, did he actually made 2 fucking years ago? I wouldn't be.
Did
surprised.
He actually make that?
I would not be surprised. I think that would be true.
He hasn't been burned in Salem, like all the witch trials.
Don't hate me. I'm a Dallas fan, but I'm a Jets fan because my dad going to be rooting for Dallas to win today. Should be a good game. I mean, you'll be a winner no matter what, Luke. But we appreciate you.
Lucky you.
Yeah, you win. And if you get a tie,
won.
I mean,
either way, he already won.
he basically already won, right? But I know Luca was talking about that, and whatever closing thoughts we could have and whatnot. Luca was talking about that great Brandon Tierney video.
You want me to pull that up?
I mean, if you want,
I know. I gotta say, I feel bad because I didn't pull it up the other day, so I feel bad about that. Where's Tierney?
Hayes says the Jets will win. Have faith, Debbie Downers, i.e., bad dogs. Wales, what's up?
What's up, man?
Where is it?
Luca and the TV. It's more like he breaks the TV, then turns it off.
I'm not gonna break the TV, but
he'll break the Tostitos bag.
Hold on.
Luca's gonna pull it up.
He's such a clown, Tierney. He's such a fake, and then somebody just decided to go in on me and saying, oh no, that's not fake. I'm like, okay, bud.
Wait, what's not fake? Wait, why?
His rage. Watch. I have the video now.
Okay, I'm very curious.
All right, I got to share the screen first because he's. And you know what? It's even worse that he does this fucking podcast with Sal Licata. Or I'm sorry, show, because WFN is washed.
Sal Licata said Pete Alonso's toxic. I know. 45 homer, more than 110 RBI guy. Real toxic, Licata.
Ready to watch this shit?
Yeah.
And 4 plays in, He's done. He's done. Do not tell me today that the season is over. Get up. Stop walking around work like a loser.
He said this on Monday, Tuesday.
Get your act together. We're playing until January. There is no way.
What?
And I'm capping.
What? Is he serious?
No,
He
keep
didn't-
play the rest of the video. And
January?
I
He
have my
doesn't
own
know
comments. Play the
football.
rest of the video. I have my own comments
after
as well as
watching
John.
that clown last year, there's no way he thinks we're playing to January. Based on what? Oh, he's
you know what? Hold on.
He just slammed.
Fool.
I called him a cheerleader in a tweet. I'm like, you're
You know what's
a
you know what's
cheerleader.
you know what's worse, guys? You know what's worse? He said the Giants season was over. The Giants season was over because
I unfortunately have to reveal that 24 seconds are remaining in this video.
Go ahead.
Get out now. No chance. If you didn't kill us last night, we are unkillable.
Yeah, but
I have Zach's back.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Super Bowl, but I am saying playoffs with Zach.
Yeah.
And I think the season, in fact, might be over. BT.
Yeah. Playoffs? Yeah. Really? Really? Here's the wonderful, the unfathomable. Oh, he's got Zach Wilson's back. Oh boy, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Do I have to remind you of the stats? 54 completion percentage, not even 2,000 yards. Career touchdown to interception ratio, 16-19. A QBR last year of 38. Mondays was 26. 26. That's garbage. Brandon Terry's a moron. Seriously.
Is he on your shit list like Salicata?
He should be. I've been talking about Brandon Tierney for a long time. I've been talking about how shit he is, and these people, praising him like he's some voice of God or he's like the voice of the fans.
Remember when he ran it on the Yankees and everybody thought he was Jesus?
Everybody thought he was Christ. Everybody thought he was Christ in
He's
April.
not even good enough to be the
Everybody
voice of
thought he was-
Wawa. Are you kidding me?
Everybody thought he was Christ in April, and this is he's going to rally the fans. Fuck you, bro. You're not going to rally shit. Let us rally ourselves. You're not a voice of the fans. You're on a pathetic radio network, WFAN, local dog shit. You're on a dog shit network with dog shit colleagues. Your radio show is dog shit. Your colleagues are dog shit. WFAN is dog shit. Your takes are dog shit. And whoever said that Tierney was a voice of the fans when it came to the Yankees, the Jets, is dog shit.
So everything's dog shit.
Yes.
Sounds like Stan from South Park. It looks like shit.
And fuck Sean Marash. Fucking
Sal
ass
equals
clown.
Christ. Neil.
He's the
fuck
Antichrist.
Sean
That's what he is.
Fuck
The
him,
Antichrist.
Fuck Sean Marash for. Let me show you something. I apologize because I know we have to get to things. Let me show you. What's his name? Sean Marash's facial discretion when he saw that his friend was reacting to Aaron Rodgers getting fucking hurt, stuffing his face like that. You fat fuck. Hold on, because he's on my shit list too. He's on my shit list too, and he's nothing but a Homer Giant fan.
Like, I acts like he's owning the Jets, but he's a Jets fan. I wish they gave the afternoon drive host to Big Mac. He's my favorite.
McGonagall?
BT
Oh
sucks.
god, that fucking Cashman Homer.
BT and Sal suck. Oh my god, he's delusional, fake. Angry John just slammed something. Yeah, he slammed his notebook. Jets will
Does that
play in
piss me off?
January. Jets will play in January like the Mets will play in October. Okay.
I apologize for some language. Okay, I apologize for my anger. But sometimes Professor Angry John has to come out when he sees something wrong.
Boys, what time is your Monday night stream? I go play pickleball, so I might miss chiming in on the chat, but I might stream it on my Shocks Open Run Bone Conduction headset. Usual 810. Usual.
Yeah,
810.
same time.
Yeah.
My god, why can't I
Colorado game was. I didn't catch the end of it, but I heard it was awesome.
It was
Go
amazing.
Cliff.
Let me tell you, I am starting to not only like Deion Sanders, I am starting to really like his son at quarterback, Shedeur Sanders. He is starting to impress the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And also the other kid, Shiloh at a pick
That
six.
was the easiest pick six
Yeah.
of anyone's life.
Yeah,
Like
it was,
I read that from my
it
couch.
was like a lollipop, you know?
Clowns. Every team basically plays in January, though. Yeah, you are right. I mean, with the 17-week with the 18-week format, but the Jets won't play meaningful football in January.
That's right. Yeah, well,
That's right, guys. The Giants' season is over, but the Jets' season's still going on. Clowns.
Hold on. I think I'm getting closer. And I don't mean to take up the entire show because I know we got to run soon and obviously NFL Today and all that shit. Just give me a second to look at this fat fuck.
Really?
Stuff
You
in
don't
his
think Peter Sanders played good? I thought he played good.
I mean, he probably had. I mean, I got to look at the stats and stuff, but he probably.
Here we go, everybody. Here we go.
He probably had his worst game, but that doesn't mean it was like terrible.
No.
Stuffing his fucking face.
So this isn't a video?
No. Look at this fat fuck eating a wing while his friend gets to watch Aaron Rodgers get hurt. Go to fucking hell. All right. Final prediction. Jets are going to lose today. I'm picking the Cowboys.
Hold up. Hold up, Luca. Hold up. Hold your horses here, please. Hold your horses. It has to be in the Book of Wonder.
Right.
We have to go through the order. Come on.
I thought we again, this was the first game in the order.
Yeah,
No, I didn't say anything. Come on, we got to get the 1 o'clock game first.
Okay, clown.
I thought, oh, never mind. Okay.
Let me get to the comments. Let me get to the comments. Charles, he was off schedule almost every play.
I don't think it's gonna. It might not translate. Like, look, I think Caleb Williams is better. I think May is better. That kid Ewers might be better, but he looked pretty impressed. Like, he's got some athleticism, and he's working with Tom Brady, so he.
Michael Penix had a great day yesterday.
He did.
Yes, he did. So.
And that was a part of our bet, John.
Colorado looked very solid last night. Got Eckler in fantasy, and he's out. Picked up McKinnon.
Okay.
How the fuck are the Colorado Buffaloes number 18? They're kicking ass with the exception of maybe UT Longhorns and Georgia Bulldogs.
I mean, they upset TCU in week 1.
Oh, exactly. Well,
TCU was
we know who bet on that game. I tried staying up, went down at 28-20. This guy's an absolute moron. Luca, do you like Big Mac at least? The overnight guy, he's good.
Brian Cashman, defender, if I've ever saw one on radio.
Is that his name, Big Mac?
Chris McGonigal.
Dallas Cowboys 45, Jets 8. Jets get a touchdown, a 2-point conversion.
Okay, I don't think it's going to be that bad, but still.
Chiefs Jaguars going to be a good game going with the Chiefs. Mahomes bounce back. Chiefs win 26-20. Luca using reverse psychology.
All right. It's time for the excellent Book of Wonder. Okay. So here we go. We got first game. Ready? Are we ready, guys?
Shoot.
Just remember, I'm in the lead. Packers Falcons. Who you guys got?
I'm leading the Falcons because Bakhtiari's out. Watson's out.
Mm-hmm.
Jones is out.
Okay.
Falcons all the way.
Alex?
Give me, you know what? Give me Green Bay.
He's going to be old.
He's going with the Packers. Luca, I agree with you. I like the points you made. Going with the Falcons.
Can I ask something?
Hold on. Alex, your objections are duly noted.
That's right.
We need a soundbite for that. Can I ask something? When we bet on that Dolphins-Chargers game last week, who'd y'all pick?
Dolphins, we all had a clean sweep of the Dolphins.
Okay. So I all right.
Why? What were you getting at?
No, I thought y'all picked the Chargers. That's why.
No. We all had a clean sweep. Come on now. Okay. Next game up. Luca, we care about this game. Raiders, Bills.
I'm bound. Listen, it's impressive that the Raiders started off, with the win in Denver, coming over to the East Coast, in Buffalo, hostile environment. Buffalo.
It's a second road game too.
Yeah, second straight road game in a row. Buffalo must win. I'm going Buffalo. I don't think they lose 2 in a row. I think at the end of this week, in my opinion, this is just my overall thing. I'm taking Buffalo for the win. everybody in the AFC East will be 1-1.
Yeah. Give me Buffalo too, John.
So we're gonna have a
some
clean
comments.
sweep on Buffalo here.
Hayes says Colorado will get crushed next week. I think they play Oregon, so I don't know about that.
Gonna be a good game.
I forgot he did defend Cashman. Luke says Packers. Sunil says Falcons. So thank you, Luke, for agreeing with me. Tom Grossi going to be going crazy if Green Bay wins. Yeah, 2-0. I mean,
All right. Next game up, which I accidentally forgot to write originally, but I have it down here.
Exceptions are duly noted.
Ravens Bengals. AFC North rivalry game.
Ravens. This one's such a fucking coin toss.
I don't know. The Ravens had some key injuries last week. Tyler Linderbaum was one of them. Marcus Williams was one of them. I'm leaning Cincinnati.
Bengals, okay.
I think they're bound for a W. They can't start 0-2.
Right.
Give me the Bengals.
I'm agreeing with you boys in saying Joe Burrow bounces back. I don't think it'll be a high-scoring game, but I think that we have
fantasy points this week. They scored 3 fucking points last week. Half my team was fucking Bengals. Chase, Mixon, and Burrow.
Hold on. We'll get to your fantasy question just a sec after picks. I promise you, Knicks Nation. Promise you we will get to your question.
Yeah, I'll start your question.
Yes. Next up, we got the Seahawks Lions. Now, pretty sure
technically we already picked this
We
game.
already said Lions. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
so that's what I have in our book. All right. So we all have a clean sweep there. Chargers, Titans. You guys know where I'm leading this because I put them as my best bet. The Titans.
Give me Tennessee too.
Tennessee.
Yep.
Clean sweep. Ooh, everyone's down on the Chargers. Okay.
And we were 7-5 last week when we went with a clean sweep.
And when it's now up to 8-5 because of the Eagles game. So for the season. Next up, Bears, Buccaneers.
Home team.
Bears, Buccaneers.
Bucks are the home team.
Oh, I'm sorry. Buccaneers.
Bucks are the home team. Yeah.
You gotta win this game if you're Chicago, man. You have to. That's not my pick yet. Let's see. Next week they play the. Oh no, I'm sorry. I gotta take Chicago here. If they don't win this game, they're in fucking trouble. They play the Chiefs next week.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bears here too. Luca.
I'm actually going with the Bucks.
Ooh, okay.
Even though I'm just saying, even though my picks, I know John picked the Bears +3. I think I don't think I picked them 2.5 or whatever. I didn't bet on the Bears, but I'm never going to bet on the Bears. But I wouldn't be surprised if they get this close to the +3, +2.5.
Okay, and does it have anything to do with stem with you from the beginning of the video saying you're never betting on the Bears again?
Yes. Yes.
All right, fair enough. Chiefs, Jags. I'm just double confirming. We all have the Chiefs in a clean sweep, right?
Si, senor.
Correct.
All right, and we all have the Texans in a clean sweep against the Colts, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on
to a tie.
That'd be funny.
Hold on a second.
Didn't they tie last year?
Yes. Yes.
Did. All right. Here is the next game. Here's the start of the 4:00 games. The 49ers and Rams. This might be one of the easier
49ers
ones.
have like 8 straight wins against the Rams. Give me the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm going with the 49ers.
I'm going to go Niners.
So I'll just write 49 in the book for all of us. All right. Giants, Cardinals.
Let me say this real quick because I'm not going to get into a preview. We already did a preview for Saturday. If you guys haven't already, please go watch that. Jim Koch was a great co-host. The Giants must absolutely win this game. If they win this game, I can't say accepting, but you could afford a loss against the 49ers in a tough week. I don't want Andrew Thomas to play because this is a game against lesser competition. You do need him to defend the edges on Thursday night. So my keys are getting pressure, running the football effectively, starting a passing game, but most effectively getting pressure. Josh Dobbs that offense has not thrown a touchdown yet. They haven't passed a touchdown, rushed a touchdown. That one touchdown was defensive. So you know what? Let's keep them out of the end zone for this one. But I'm going to go with my New York Giants here.
I'm going with the Giants here too, even though at times they do play down to their competition. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I got the Giants. All right, Luca.
It sounds a little biased on this one, Samir.
Yeah. our Jets game against the Cowboys.
Dallas.
Them boys gonna win.
You guys haven't gotten to my pick yet.
I didn't.
Listen,
You guys actually think I'm gonna pick the Jets? You're fucking.
I knew you
crazy.
weren't. I knew you weren't.
I had to troll you.
I know. I it didn't work because I knew you were going Dallas. Yeah, by 2000. That's funny. All right. Next game, almost done. Commanders Broncos.
This one.
I have a hard time believing the Broncos will lose 2 in a row at home.
Mm-hmm. So you're going with Denver.
Sam Howell looked like trash in the pocket last week. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
you know what? I'll be honest. Between him and Zach Wilson, well, they're both the performances last week. I'm going to go with the Broncos, but I have more confidence in a sea cucumber.
All right, Denver is the clean sweep here for us. We got a lot of clean sweeps this week. I like it. A lot of agreement. Sunday night football tonight. Dolphins Patriots.
I have a hard time believing the Patriots going to go into. I'm going New England actually, and Dolphins defense looked like complete trash.
Mm-hmm. Alex?
New England.
I'm also going with New England, which makes us another clean sweep. Ooh, hey. All right, now remember, we got 2 Monday night games here. Saints at the Panthers. Who are we going with?
You said at the Panthers.
I'm going Saints.
Yeah, let me go ahead and say.
Oh, we might have an ad. I'm sorry, that's me. I apologize.
This clown.
I actually didn't hear anything.
No, we have an ad. Sorry about that.
Give me the Panthers. Actually, no, reverse that. I'm gonna go with the Saints. So I'm like, you know what? There's always late in the year for a win.
Alex is going with the Saints and Luca. Who did you say you're going with? The Saints?
Saints.
Okay. I'm torn on this game, but I'm gonna say it. Bryce Young will get his first win in the National Football League this week. Panthers. I'm going different here.
See, what I was thinking is like the Panthers are a home team, but then again, it's like the Saints really don't do well outside of the dome, and there's always late in the year, but they're always very good at home. So let me go with the Saints.
All right. Last game we have the other Monday night game, Browns Steelers. This should be a good one.
Mari Cooper's out. Let me just say that right now.
Mm-hmm.
The Pittsburgh Steelers can't afford to go 0-2, but they always start out like this. I'm going to go ahead with the dog pound.
Alex is going with the dog pound.
I'm going with the Yinzers.
Going with the Steelers. And Luca, I was really tempted to pick the Browns here. I know it's going to be low scoring, but I feel like this has to be a must-win game for the Steelers. I'm going with the Steel City. They're home again. Ain't no way they're losing 2 in a row on home. They got to win this one. And that's it for week 2 in the books.
Book of Wonder.
Book of Wonder. Everything's locked in for this week. Games are less than an hour away for the 1 o'clock slate.
Yes. So that's why, as I said, that's why you wake up with us, guys. You know, at 9:30, you come on here, we do our thing, and it leads you right up to the games. But I got 2 things to get to, including this comment. And thank you, by the way, for everybody. We see your picks in the chat following along with us. I want to hear the audience's take of whether I can beat Luca's fantasy football team this week or not. A double whammy. Dallas destroys the Jets, and my fantasy.
Sunil, I don't think you're beating my team this week. I'm just going to say that right now.
Trash talk.
Let's see. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to pull up the matchup. So
while you're doing that, make it to this one.
That's right.
Honestly, I would say Saquon. My opinion.
Alex would say Saquon. Now, remember, the Jets did a very good job of stopping the run.
Yeah, I could actually say that.
And whatnot. In my opinion, they did. And yeah, the Cardinals. I feel like this is a much more safer game for Saquon. I think he just had an off game with the fumble. I go with Saquon here.
Let me look at how many yards the Cardinals gave up on the ground last week against the
They didn't
Commanders.
give up too many.
The highest carrier was Brian Robinson with 59. But again, he fumbled. No, it wasn't him. It was Gibson who fumbled. But they turned the ball over a couple of times.
Yeah. Luke says that Luca will beat Sunil.
I'm projecting
Ooh.
to win actually, but it's not. It's not gonna be a high scoring matchup. Actually, doesn't seem like that at least. Oh, I'm getting support in the chat. Thank you all.
Wow.
Oh, Sunil. Sunil
It's just
called
like,
my
I
book of
can't.
wonder.
I can't root for my brother, but I can't root for my Cowboys fan either. So it's just
He said my book is the book of blunder, just like the Cowboys are. Then, as Stephen A. Smith says, an accident waiting to happen.
got the Niners defense. I should be Gucci. I have Saquon Barkley.
Not if
in
the Rams
fantasy.
can not if the Rams can do anything about that, in my opinion, Almighty. Because I have some confidence the Rams are going to score points, but I think the Niners are just going to
They got
fucking
no
aerial
cups,
attack.
so. With Zach Wilson going against that Cowboy defense is a recipe for disaster.
Unless he somehow turns into a game manager, technically.
Is he going to be a pumpkin? Now, let me ask you a question. There's two P words I want to use here. Is he going to turn into a pumpkin or a pine cone?
Pine cone.
Luca?
John used the term pine cone last week, and well, here's the thing: if Zach Wilson's going to be in the pocket, he's a pine cone. If he's going to throw interceptions, he's going to turn into a pumpkin. Pine cone. No.
I got a third one. What about a puffer fish?
I'm going with pumpkin.
Pine cone.
Randall Cobb playing quarterback. He is
That's
the
emergency quarterback. But I got to tell you, I'll tell you this right now. Chaz Surratt played quarterback in college. He should be the emergency.
I mean, you would probably argue that Chaz Surratt is a better.
It was always Chaz Surratt because I always said him.
But
I still can't believe he got fucking fined. That's bullshit.
Also, you guys got Tim Boyle as the backup.
Oh God.
What was I gonna say? Anyway,
just saying
Zach Wilson going to be a smashed pumpkin like the 90. Yep, Smashing Pumpkins, Billy Corgan, all that other stuff.
Good one.
What about a grapefruit?
No, I'm sticking on my pine cone. It's either going to be a pine cone or a traffic cone. Okay.
Well, traffic cone's your offensive line.
No, the offensive line's the cardboard box.
Okay. Dak has to play Jets defense though. Zach Wilson throwing 3 interceptions today. Raph says I'm the 25th person.
Yeah,
Great stream, folks. And by the way, I need to talk with you fellas about talking about football. Yeah, listen, we're down. Raph, you got your own channel. If you guys haven't already, please go subscribe to Raph. He does a great job over there. Obviously, I see him on the Big Blue Crew streams, even though he's a Raiders fan. But yeah, listen, anytime you want to come in, do all the good stuff. You know,
Not
you guys can. You guys are most welcome here. We appreciate your support. Didn't you all sign a quarterback from the?
We were supposed to sign Brett Ripien, but he got activated to be on the Rams roster. Excuse me.
I mean, you'd probably take him over Tim Boyle.
I actually would. I actually would take Brett Ripien over fucking Tim Boyle.
Yeah, probably.
But they like Tim Boyle.
I don't.
Well,
doesn't my opinion matter?
It's the elite level of homerism that has never been displayed more on a podcast.
I hold receipts on the check.
Go team, go!
I made anyone changes to players who were announced out. The disparity is much closer than you all think. So he's holding receipts in terms of who's rooting against.
I don't know. I don't know either of your team's rosters. I don't know. But good luck in fantasy for both of y'all.
Yeah.
Except Luca, who faces me.
No, exactly. We're going to talk about this tomorrow, likely, because I still got players for tomorrow's Monday night games. Yeah, I think I'll come out victorious.
But this was our longest show, 2 hours 47 minutes. Obviously, for the Rise and Rush podcast, another success. If you guys have fantasy questions, filter them all in now as we get our final thoughts in. We're less than an hour to the games. Let me start with you know what? I'll start with John first.
Well, what did we learn today? A lot of fantasy, a lot of betting. I like all the questions. Like all the funny comments that you guys throw at me. But you know what? I'll just have the signs do the talking, because if the Jets play like this and represent this, then I will be holding this. Okay? So do not disappoint me today. Don't be clowns. Zach, I know he's such a... he's a pine cone. He's a pine cone because he throws like this. So thank you again. Make sure, remember, for all our videos, make sure you watch to the end. Okay. We really do appreciate all the support you guys give us. We like the questions thrown at us. Almighty has a fantasy question, which I'll answer as my final thing. Y'all think is a solid bench Y'all think this is a solid bench? Purdy, Addison, Flowers, Algier, Dylan. Yeah, that's a really solid
Yeah,
bench.
that's a really
Good
solid
Good
bench.
bench, Almighty. Good job, man. Keep it up.
Luca Victorious on a commode. Robert Saleh had receipts last year that didn't work out well.
No.
That's also because of the quarterback, but that's completely that's.
Holding the weenie sign or sticking the bird upwards. Which is it, John?
What do you mean?
I think he's talking about the middle finger, maybe. I don't know.
I've never stuck the middle finger at anyone on this channel.
Good
Have I?
point. I don't know, probably not. Really solid bench. Yeah, John is a funny guy, but Luca.
Final thoughts. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for tuning into this second episode of the Rise and Rush podcast. Again, I hope everybody enjoys their Sunday, as I hope to enjoy my Sunday. Hopefully, my team pulls it out, but my confidence is small in this quarterback. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow.
Luca's got the Zach Wilson shirt on.
I don't know why you all are hating on me, because I don't have a choice. I have to get the. I have
What do
to
you mean you don't
motivate-
have a choice? There's like 7 other jerseys you could pick.
Right?
You
but-
could also just wear a shirt or go shirtless.
Right, but I'm pulling for the quarterback. That's all I'm doing.
Don't be a Brandon Tierney weenie.
No. I am not that moron. I
Okay.
am not that moron.
Someone's
Don't
got to make
do
a
it.
shirt that says Luca is Zach Wilson's #1 fan.
Go ahead. Whoever's next.
Thank you, Charles and Luke. They say great show. When I hear Danielle Jones is a good quarterback, I feel like throwing him over my back shoulder. The Jets kicker is Austin Seibert for today. So that's another key injury.
Why Greg Zerline did he have to get injured?
My bench is terrible. Dalton Kincaid, Evan Hull, who's now on IR, Curtis Samuel, Patterson, and Stafford.
I don't think
Good
Stafford's
smell.
terrible.
Yeah, but like, subscribe, do all the good stuff, comment. We'll be back obviously next week for the Rise and Rush podcast 2. Tomorrow again, 8:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think that should be a fun show. There's a lot of possibilities, Luca ranting on the Jets, John ranting on the Jets. Who knows? Maybe a guest will pop on. Maybe me ranting about the Giants or just tempering my expectations. The Jets' next kicker is coming out of Austin Powers, says Sunil. But more
I'll take
content
it.
coming for you guys this week. Do all the good stuff, and we will see you next time. Please enjoy your Sunday, and peace out. Let's go, Big Blue.